Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Pekin Freeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Hello and welcome to Apex Racing TV and round 2 of the Simracersworld IMSA Winter Series. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick. I have got DJ Clark joining alongside me tonight. Sam Kumo is bringing you this broadcast on our channel, and we are here at Watkins Glen, the new Watkins Glen. It all looks very shiny after the fairly dull old circuit that we have. It's really popping out at the screen for this evening's racing. DJ, it is really nice to be at this new Watkins Glen. I'm particularly excited about this one. Not major track changes, a little bit of camber change at a few corners. Of course, the curbs are a bit different as well. But I think just mainly the graphics look so much better. It should be wonderful for the drivers to drive around, and particularly wonderful for us to see the drivers race around here as well.
Indeed, and this is one of the homes of IMSA, obviously hosting the 6 Hours of the Glen yearly. And as you mentioned there, Sam, not a lot of physical track changes here. There's a little bit more paved runoff, so a little bit more leeway for drivers if they were to make a mistake, specifically going through the outer loop at the top of the hill. Little bit more down going into the toe of the boot as well, but the same sort of flowing old school style circuit that Watkins Glen is still remains, and it is going to put on one heck of a show for these IMSA drivers here today.
It sure is. For those people who didn't watch round 1, well, it was very exciting, but the format for this series is 100-minute races, and well, as we saw last time out, really anything can happen over those 100 minutes. It comes down to the wire, and yeah, hopefully tonight will be coming down to the wire as well. We are currently in a half-an-hour qualifying session for the first half of qualifying. The P2s are allowed on track. So those standings for the P2s are done. Kraft has taken pole position. However, in the GT3 Pro and the GT3 AM, everything's still up for grabs. Currently Ray's at the top of the Pro standings, and it's Vochi at the top of the amateur standings, but still with about 4 minutes left of this session to go, as Jason Hodgson puts in a strong time to move up into P3 on that times. And I mean, after round one, we really saw particularly competitive in the GT3 AM field. But do you think there's going to be much of a change up tonight, DJ, in the pecking order, or are you expecting a similar pace advantage for what we saw at Red Atlanta?
I think we'll see a relative similar pace advantage, but the way Watkins Glen is laid out, it's one of those circuits that you either get a really good rhythm and a really good feel for, or you absolutely despise the place and just can't get the timing right. So we could see a couple of drivers really get shaken up in the order here. It's a lot of longer corners. It requires a lot of patience to get right. So I think the most savvy of drivers around here, they're going to be the ones to really excel.
Looks like Grebstad is very savvy. He moves up into P2 in the GTD Pro. Warner also improving a moment ago. He is currently in third place. We might be able to briefly show you the championship standings after round one. Of course, 3 different classes we have imitating the real-life IMSA series. Of course, only 1 round in the boats, but it's O'Leary at the top. Kraft got taken out from the lead about 5 minutes into the race at Road Atlanta. It seemed as though he had the slight pace on O'Leary, so expect those two to really be out in front tonight. Freitas, Forstyke and Sembera rounding out the top 5. In the GTD Pro, we have got Oyston Hereford, who I think deserved the race win, no doubts about it, but was maybe a little bit fortunate about it with Chris Warner making a mistake on pit entry. I think Hakon Grebstad was the other one who made a mistake on pit entry that allowed Hereford and Boland to take the top 2 positions. And then in the GTD amateur standings, it was a particularly close finish. Last time out, it came down to about 5 seconds or so. Kochi at the top, Hulse in second position, and then it's Knight, Hodgson and Dupin rounding out the top 5. I think that P2 class is the really interesting one for me, at least, I think, DJ, because Kraft has got a lot to be annoyed about. He was at no fault for the incident that took him out of contention at Road Atlanta. He will be desperate to make up those points because it's really not a long season this whatsoever. So to lose a race win like he did can really set your season back.
Yeah, it really and truly can, and I think Kraft is going to be racing with a little bit of the red mist here today. He's going to have a lot to prove out there, and you can see by those qualifying times, he's already laying down a pretty substantial marker, almost a full half second ahead of O'Leary to be able to claim pole in that LMP2 standing. So I think we are in for a cracking race from Kraft.
Yeah, that's quite ominous to be that far clear, especially when everyone else is so close, not just in the P2 class, but also in the GTD Pro and the GTD AM. Ray's currently at the top. Grebstad recently improving to move into second place. It's ever so tight there. Also seeing Johan Kaiser, who is a pro driver, a bit out of position at the moment, is Kaiser, and that time was not an improvement, may have just been backing off. I believe this... I always get confused. I think they will be able to complete these lap times, won't they? Of course, because we're not in a heat racing format session. So he can complete this lap time. He doesn't need to complete it before the 30 minutes are up. Ray's still out there. He can improve. Hereford could improve as well. Boland setting another lap time. Matthew Sophie could improve. He's currently in P7. Also this man, Stuart Musselwhite, Rob Jackson as well in the amateurs could improve as well. So yeah, wait for that timing screen to light up.
Yeah, indeed. And a little bit interesting here not to see some drivers opting for the draft. Ooh, that's a Lamborghini that's having a bad way coming up out of the boot. But that is the 164 of Souffle. Oh, that is Matthew there that is not going to be able to get that going. The Belgian driver not going to be able to finish what could have been a hot lap for him.
What lap time is this looking like for Hereford? I don't think it's particularly strong. And yeah, he's not pushing, so Hereford is out of it. Can Rays go even faster? He's just behind. You'll see him shoot off in the background. No, that is the end of his session as well. Selby, of course, spun. Edward Knight, perhaps? Is he going at any speed at the moment around the final couple of corners? I'm not seeing any personal best for him at the moment. He's set a decent sector 5 on his last lap, but nothing on this lap, which is looking good. And yeah, it's just a 45-1, so yeah, about 7/10 off his best lap time. Bod Boland, personal best sector 2. Currently in 6th position is Boland, 2nd place in the championship, remember, as well. That's not a bad qualifying for him. He does need to improve by quite a significant margin, 2/10 in order to gain new places, but that seems to be it for him as well. I wonder if there's a rule, maybe, which I've missed, where the drivers aren't allowed to complete their lap times once the 30 minutes are up. I'm not quite sure, but the checker flag is out anyway, and I think that does bring an end to the session for pretty much everyone. And Christoph Rays at the top of that one. Now I might be being obtuse here, but did we see Rays in round 1?
I don't believe we did, Sam. So a little bit of a shining debut there for the driver of the 112 in that Lamborghini. Very good time, but with Gerbstrad right behind him, only 51 thousandths of a second. And Hereford there, less than a tenth. That is going to be a very, very close running to the top of the GTD Pro field.
Yeah, it sure is. And Thomas Layson saying they should give Rays a seat in real life sometimes. So he's certainly got the backing of Thomas. And of course, if you are supporting anyone, do let us know on the YouTube chat. We would super appreciate yeah, any feedback from you guys. So well, maybe if you harass us at a slightly dull parts of the race, we might even show you your favorite driver if you are supporting anyone. But yeah, once again, many thanks for tuning in for this race. As I wait to see if it is going to be a full formation lap. I'm not quite sure. I think the organisers have control whether it's a full formation lap or not. Depends on how that will decide how long we've got to go through the order. We do have a full formation lap, excellent, so you can take our time. Daniel Crafts, half second on pole position ahead of Thomas O'Leary. There's James Forstyke in 3rd position, as Wemstra in 4th, Catchpole in 5th, Miguel Freitas in 6th, Peter Jan Claessens in 7th, then it's Thomas Mokek, Morgan Butler, Nick Shermans, Michal Sembera, John Barnes, not the footballer, in 12th, Tim Ratson, Darian Roy, John Tusting, Paul Gosling, Jason Ashfield, and Derek Robb round out the 18 P2 cars we have out here. Really strong field. Dare I say, that's a bit bigger than what we saw at Road Atlanta. Then in the GT3 Pro, it is Christoph Rays on pole position. Behind him is Hakon Grebstad. Of course, nearly won last time out. Grebstad looking to revenge right there. Then it's Oystein Hereford, who did win last time out at Red Atlanta. Chris Warner, Ben Hicks, Bod Boland, Matthew Southey, Sebastian Herbuer, Haldas Yortutus, Neil Cooper, Wim Stockmans, Wojciech Kochi is top of the GTD AMS. Then it is the pro of Samuel Lamont. Then it's Juraj Valle, Jason Hodgson, Chris Wood, Anthony Beck, Edward Knight, Nathan Healy, Kevin Stringer, Craig Jones, Rob Jackson, Euron Kaiser, Stuart Musselwhite, Bram Biochman, Ben Holland, Thijs Vandenberg, Anton Dupin, Andrew Hopley, and Bradley Holt. 48 cars. I think that is exactly the same as what we had last time. I'm not quite sure. So some drivers, some new drivers, and some drivers obviously not being able to attend tonight, you know, such as real life commitments. But fantastic to see so many drivers around this track. Do you think this is going to be a bit of a problem with this many cars out on circuit tonight, DJ, or do you think this track can handle such a large capacity?
Well, Sam, it really depends on where you catch those drivers. The first sector around here coming up through the S's, that can get a little bit hairy for these prototype drivers, as getting offline through there, even with the increased downforce, can really, really throw you off. You don't really want to catch anybody through the bus stop. That's a pretty one-way street through there. And then going down through the boot, for the first couple of corners of it, you're going to be okay. Going down into the chute as well as the toe of the boot, you can take those cars too wide, no problem at all. From there on out, though, in turns 8 and 9, the heel and then rising up over that tricky left-handed turn 9, that is an area you do not want to catch lap traffic. The way the elevation change on this circuit goes, it can really throw off the handling of the car, just kind of mess up the weight balance a little bit. So I think for these prototypes, there are plenty of ways to get past that slower GT Pro or GT AM field, but you've got to make sure your timing is right. If you get your timing wrong, not only could some disaster in terms of an accident, but just some massive, massive slowdowns in terms of times lost.
Yes, yeah, we do really need to watch out for that. Of course, we saw the absolute worst scenario last time out at Road Atlanta when it comes to traffic, where we saw the GT3 leaders. It was Grebstad, I believe it was Grebstad, who tried to get into the pits, but couldn't get into the pits as we have drivers coming to a halt. I think Graze is currently trying to build up a bit of a gap here, and he's leaving a big cushion to the P2s, which is, you know, what you should do. And you can see on the timing tower the gap that has formed. I think the GTDs will now start to increase their pace a little bit. Halston, in fact, actually is the last gyro, so he can do all the slaloming. He likes to warm up those tyres, whilst other gyros have to be a little bit careful, especially going through the bus stop chicane here. I've driven a few laps. I don't know how much experience you've got, DJ, around this kind of new section of the track, but very different to what it used to be, at least from what I've figured out. Before, you could take all the curb around that part. In fact, it was an advantage. The car was almost more settled if you went completely over the curb, whereas now you've got to be a lot more cautious. At least in my experience, it's a lot more tricky to get through that area. So can we see a few incidents, perhaps? You think about that?
Yeah, I think we certainly could, particularly in the P2 category. Those cars really don't like going over the bumps, so you're going to have to watch out for that. I would also be wary for certain makes of this GT field. Watch out for the Lamborghini having to be a little bit skeptical, let's say, of those curbs, going a little too hard on the curbs, as well as the Porsches. Those are two in particular that are a little bit more fidgety going over curbs, and so drivers are going to have to be a little bit careful, and I think that's going to put some, maybe an advantage, let's say, to the BMW drivers, maybe the Ferrari drivers, certainly the big Mercedes. They're going to be able to clobber those curbs a little bit more and maybe gain a tenth or two going through that bus stop section.
I just got a few moments to go as the gyros tried to generate some heat into these tyres. Seems like the pace car has gone particularly slowly. I'm not quite sure. But the GTD's almost caught back up to the P2s after that big gap. It's been about a 4-minute pacing lap. We are finally just one corner away. Remember, O'Leary took the win last time out because of a Kraft incident. Kraft able to fight his way back up to P2, but he'll be looking for the race win tonight as we are about to get running here at Watkins Glen for race 2 of the season in the Simracersworld IMSA Winter Series. The foot is down for Dan Kraft. He pulls us away from the field, and O'Leary trying to defend off Forsyth as well for second position. Ambitious there from Zwemstra trying to make up a move heading into turn 1. I think he has come very close there, but just having to back out and staying in 5th position for now. A little bit of side-by-side through this slightly wider parts of the track than it used to be. Easy flat out for these P2 cars, even on that point. Say develop the slipstream now heading into the bus stop for the first time. Kraft has been able to hold on. Catchpole trying to get past Forsyth at the moment, almost contact between the two of them, and it is Forsyth actually able to make that move then. He's up into 3rd place. Great work from him. Ray's meanwhile leads in the GT3 Pro. No changes in the top 4 at the moment in that category, and it's still Kochi leading in the GT3 app.
It is indeed, and you saw almost 3 wide going down into the 90 that first corner. We watch here Jotas as he's working his way through, now flashing back to Edward Knight. A lot of BMWs in the field looking here. That's Stringer, I believe, behind him, trying to make the move to the outside. They've got to be very careful. You don't really want to go too wide into the bus stop. You've got to be later on the brakes. Everybody able to get it through there nice and easy. I thought for sure that was going to end in tears.
Yeah, having to really slow down quite a bit when the drivers ahead start to slow up in front of you, but they did a really good job to avoid much contact, but a huge bit of contact there, and that's Wemstra, who was running up in P5, in fact he qualified in P4. And the Alcantech NHR driver trying to get back underway now. Can he get back to the pits before the GT cars come around? Otherwise, that'll be quite an issue for him. Ray's left such a big gap. Credit to him. I think that should be no problem. Here is Wemstra coming through, losing traction on the exit there. Now, these cars do have traction control, I believe. But he still could not keep control of the car. And I believe it was the number, I want to say 11. He made contact. Sembera. Okay, so I was looking for someone further up the timing, but actually Sembera had to come back to the pits. He got a big whack there, and that has really compromised his race. And I think those guys will have to start going through the GT field now in order to get back with the P2. So real bad news for those guys. It promotes a few drivers behind up a couple of places.
Indeed, and I very much, Joe for Swanster there, that is a mistake that I have made many, many times at this track coming up over turn 9. You've got to be very, very sensitive and patient on the throttle. He just spun his rear tires, and that's what sent him around. And it is a very easy mistake to make. But back up at the top, Kraft continuing to lead here to the tune of about 0.7 of a second. O'Leary not really letting him go away. You can see there as they come out of turn 8, one of the changes that has been made to Watkins Glen in this new rescan. That used to be a lot of grass and gravel over there. It's now paved runoff, so drivers are able to take that corner a little bit wider. Means you can carry some more speed through there and really drops the lap times down specifically for these higher downforce LMP2 machines.
Yeah, and whilst I am pleased on balance that the rescan has come in for Watkins Glen, because it does look so much nicer than what it did before. We are going to be missing the old grass runoffs. We knew it, and I certainly try not to take be thankful for them whilst they were still around. But yeah, the tarmac runoffs, I'm sure, quite unpopular, as you see around many parts of this track, but many parts of it also being improved as well. As Webster almost through all these cars now, going through some of the difficult areas of the track you were speaking about earlier on. This part of the track quite tricky to be making some moves, but he's almost got past, just got Rays to overtake, and he's being nice and patient. We'll just wait till the pit straight gets his foot down, and that P2 car up ahead of all the GTDs now, and yeah, in 18th place overall.
Yeah, and he's got a lot of work to do, but there is Christoph Reyes continuing to lead there. I didn't necessarily expect this to be a track that favored the Lamborghini, but we obviously did have a little bit of BOP that entered into the GT field, so Lambo getting a little bit of a boost there in terms of not receiving too heavy of a weight penalty early on. Starting to streak away here a little bit, gaining speed on that long back straight in the run to the bus stop chicane. That is an area that the Lambo will excel, I believe.
We may have just had a change between Knight and Hodgson. I believe Knight has just made that move. In fact, it's a very close pack. Look, that's very over the curve there for the 233. That's not going to be a slowdown. I think it was all four wheels off the track, but not quite sure what the slowdown limits are around this circuit at the moment. Stringer also coming very close to contact. I think that was with Hodgson just ahead. So Hodgson seems to be falling back a little bit right now. Jackson in 6th position in this tussle, which goes all the way back to Nathan Healy in 7th place out of the GTD as well. Of course, this also involves some GTD pros as well. In fact, Beck is one of the GTD pros, so this is all for position. Nonetheless, I believe it's points for your overall position in class, not just within the pro or am standings, as we ride on board with Dan Kraft gradually opening up that gap. He was a 10.5 faster on that last lap time, fairly even to O'Leary on this lap cap at 0.9 of a second, as they already enter the GTD traffic.
Yeah, and you saw there as you rode on board going up into turn 8, a little bit of opposite lock the Craft had to put on the car to keep it pointed the right way. You can get a move here going around the outside in the faster LMP2s. Good little crossover there to get him backing up through the field. This is where you want to be overtaking cars on these straightaways using the faster top line speed. O'Leary's going to have a little bit of a compromised entrance there into the 90, but he's able to get it back underneath him. That gap growing a little bit, hovering at about that 7/10 mark. Now it looks like Kraft is going to be able to get a good draft from the cars up ahead of him. That'll help. And now O'Leary, I think it's just a little bit of a waiting game. He doesn't look too aggressive here. He's just waiting for traffic to maybe play into his hand and force Kraft to back off a little bit.
Yeah, Kraft did have to back off a bit in the second part of the bus stop as O'Leary goes super wide there. And they will get penalties for instances as well. That's a bit ambitious there from O'Leary. He was lucky that the year 1 crowd had spotted him behind. Now they're getting really into the thick of the traffic. And some of these moves are especially ambitious right now, particularly from O'Leary. He's very much reliant on these GT cars to stay offline. You can see the potential race winners. They go through wide, going straight through the middle there. And they all get stopped. No, they can't. There's contact there. And P2, O'Leary, the championship leader, does make contact. He spins around, and honestly, you could kind of see it coming. I think that wasn't an unreasonable move from him there, but did he just move slightly to the left under braking, causing that little bit of contact and causing that spin?
I'd have to see it again, but, you know, taking cars 2-3 wide through there, always a difficult proposition. Let's check out the replay on this. You can see just how tricky and challenging it is around here. That's why I love driving these LMP2s in an IMSA field around Watkins Glen. There's so many areas to overtake and really send it in, but so many areas that can come back and bite you, Sam.
Yeah, and, well, this one was particularly far back, that one, although, well, it looks more scary off board, to be honest, which isn't usually the case, but to be fair, I think it was a reasonable move. And then just try to see his steering inputs here, his distance to the left side of the track. Doesn't seem like he moves across, so maybe it's the GT3 who turned in a little bit early there, O'Leary. Well, at least that's tarmac now. It's a benefit for him, but that's now supposed 7 seconds off the lead. 8 seconds off the lead, and now has got to go through some of that traffic over again. He's up into P6. He's got ahead of Butler right there. However, I might just be worth as well, we've got some defending here. Mokek versus O'Leary, and Mokek just defending almost onto the grass now. We're going to go 3 wide again. Hopefully it turns out better this time for O'Leary. I think he's safe this time, but he's still having to fight some of his fellow class rivals. And Mokek does lose out in the end. He's down to 6th place. O'Leary back to 5th, as we've had an incident here with Bod Boland 2nd place in the championship, and that seems like it's quite a significant thing there for Boland. He's got damage.
Yeah, he does. I wonder if it's that same incident we saw earlier out of some of the LMP2 drivers with Zwenstra just kind of spinning the rear tires coming up out of turn 9. A real schmozzle here. So many cars trying to fight for the same part of real estate, and that is going to be Boland coming down pit lane. Let's check out this replay.
Looks like he's going to be all by himself, doesn't it? He's not really close to anyone. Oh, well, I think that's such a common mistake. And then it was the 135 who made contact, and a number of P2s very nearly made contact as well. The 135 is Ben Hicks, so I don't think Hicks has got too much damage from that, but that will be costing him down the straights a bit, I imagine. Yeah, well, you can see some visible damage there, but yeah, just some area damage, I think. And yeah, not ideal for the Ignium Motorsports Blaze driver.
No, not at all, especially with as powerful as the draft can be around here, going down the backstretch and into those corners. We focus back here. Oh, contact!
And that's the P2 leader, Valo, who just taken the lead off Kochia. I missed that one, apologies. Valo had just taken the lead, but, well, he's not in the lead anymore. He's, well, I don't know whose fault that one was. but that is really disappointing for Valle. A long way from their scheduled pit stops. It's going to be a long way for him to go as he's trying to overtake Hodgson here. He's all over the place. Hodgson may just let him have this one after nearly making contact with him a moment before. But wow, that could have been a lot worse there for Valle around a part of the track where there's no run.
Yeah, exactly. Very, very scary place to have that happen. And I'm absolutely loving what I am seeing here out of turn 8 with that increased runoff that we keep talking about. That is becoming a prime overtaking opportunity. You didn't used to see that a lot here at Watkins Glen. But Bradley Halsey here was still just working his way around, trying to hold off Hodgson behind him. He was able to slip on by.
Mikachi back in the lead. Knight has been doing really well. Knight was started this race a bit lower than where he is at the moment. I believe he's up 4 places in class as this is a horse. Now defending against Dupan, we've got a spinner in the background. And that is Rob Jackson. Now what's that contact? Apologies, that's Healy spinning. I think Jackson may have made contact, but he seems to be a little bit slow out there. I think he might be giving back that position. So shame there for Healy. Oh, that's not a great place to let drivers go. Oh, wow, had to breathe in there. Yeah, I appreciate the kindness there from Jackson, but another part of the circuit, maybe at the bus stop, would have been a wiser decision, I think, to give back the place. But yeah, just a word once again on Edward Knight doing really well. A number of places in the AS. I think he started P5 in the GTD field, but he's up into second place, only 0.6 of a second off Kochi as well.
Yeah, so definitely a battle starting to develop there for that GTM field. You see Knight just trying to close in a little bit. BMW versus BMW. Now, this is the moment when you are a slower class driver that you may be wanting to try to use some of those faster LMP2s to your advantage. When they start to work their way back through the field, it may be helpful for you, but I think Knight here just doing a good job just sort of stalk behind Kochi as best as possible and see if he can maybe force an error out of that 293.
Yeah, I think yeah, could be very wise for him to do so. And while looking at the track map, he's got a few more laps, I guess. So the P2 starts coming back through this field. To get an awesome cam on the curb cam. 3 wides, and this is all in the same class. 4 position, and wow. Gosh, that was Sherman sweeping ahead. Rob somehow gets in through that one. Oh, clean. But now Ashfield goes spinning around and into the wall. And that will be heavy damage there for Jason Ashfield. May even take the tow back to the pits. But they survived the bus stop, and then Ashfield caught up to those drivers. And the Brummie GP driver having a big wallop into the wall.
Yeah, and he was very opportunistic there. He just saw that sort of 2-wide battle in the catch-up in front of him and was able to make the move. Unfortunately, that looked like a little bit of ghost contact there for Ashfield. But just on the cosmetic look on that LMP2, it doesn't look like there's a lot of damage to the rear end. He may have been able to get it slowed up just enough to really prevent any massive rear wing damage to it. So he'll be happy about that. As we focus back on 7th in that GTD Pro field, Neil Cooper.
Yeah, that was yeah. The bus stop is never a fantastic place to overtake. I do much prefer the long run into the carousel. I believe it's usually called. We do still have the carousel, but it's not quite the same as hard into the wall. And that's Chris Woods. He's done a decent qualifying actually. I think Wood up in the top 10 in qualifying. But that is a heavy contact, I think, into the corner there of that Porsche 911. And, well, he's just trying to get back underway. He needs to turn the traction control off. He's really struggling, trying to use the grass as well to break traction as well. And is he clear? Yeah, he also doesn't want to drive backwards too far, otherwise the iRacing system will quickly disqualify you. And if anything, would have been better for Wood in hindsight just to tow back to the pits. It might still be the best course of action. So Team Adjara tries to get back underway, but that was another driver losing the rear of the car on exit of that of the third final corner, and another one who finds the wall due to it. Neil Cooper, who finished, I believe, P5 last time out at Road Atlanta. He's currently in P6. He's just ahead of Ben Hicks. I believe that is a move he has just made.
It is indeed, and Stockman's looking like he is right there behind him, trying to close that gap as well. And yeah, that turn 9, catching out more and more drivers. I think particularly the Porsche drivers are going to have to watch out for that. We've talked a lot about how that car likes to oversteer, rear engine, rear wheel drive. Very, very easy to get the tail hung out there. If you get on that power a little bit too early coming up over turn 9, that is exactly what we can see happen to it. Right now, just Stockman's hovering around behind Hicks, trying to see if there is anything to do over that Ferrari. I think he gained maybe a half a tenth there through turn 9. Tricky to get things right through here. Not a lot of downforce in these GT3 machines, but just enough to get a little bit of aero wash coming through these 2 fast final corners.
Yeah, really fun. And of course, that final corner with the wall on the outside, so easy to bend. It is an unusual circuit. It's certainly not a street circuit. It's a permanent build facility, albeit, of course, a very old one. And I'm not sure if the original incarnation of this track was purpose-built necessarily. But yet the walls are super close to the track in a lot of places, which really do penalise any mistakes that you may make. As Stockman's is the next to try to overtake Hicks. Not able to get past there. A little bit too much curb, I think, or something. A lot of oscillation there going over the curb for the GT3 driver as contact. That was onto the grass there for the 233. Tries to turn in and does make a move. Well, wow, Valet, former leader in the GT3 AM, and that was hair and scare there. I think maybe pushing it a little bit too far as we see the P2 car pushing it well beyond the limits there. But Valet tries to make it through around the outside, and well, you get a place out of it.
He did indeed, and sometimes that aggression will pay off, but oh, big hit off into the outside. That is going down into the chute, and that is Stuart Musselwhite. A lot of damage there, I think, to that BMW. That looked like a nasty clobber of the wall.
Yeah, he's trying to get back underway here, so he's trying back to the pits. Yeah, this must have been a big hit because, of course, we've seen a couple of drivers hit the wall so far tonight, but none of them seem to really get that much damage from it. Maybe they have to come in for a faster pair, but they can certainly drive back. Oh, wow, so it happened a lot earlier there, so it's actually going to be a couple of hits, and it was the P2 car. Sorry, I couldn't catch who the P2 car was, but yeah, maybe be a penalty incoming, and also having to tow back to the pits. The BMW being another casualty. Of course, they do have a faster pair to do these tracks. They can get back out on circuit if they do have a problem, but you really want to save that, of course, for later on, because when we've got so many drivers being so aggressive, it's inevitable that you're going to have some scrapes, and yeah, you don't want to use your faster pair too early in the race. As Mokek and Claysons are battling on that last lap. Mokek was a couple of tenths slower than Claysons, who's now got a lovely draft, and this is really the best place you can overtake the track.
Yeah, it is, and there you see Claysons just...
Sorry to interrupt, Butler off the track ahead. I think he's alright. Sorry for interrupting.
No, you're all good. I was just going to agree with you about that draft, and that's a pretty textbook pass there from Claysons. A couple of lap cars he's going to have to get around here, but with that mistake from Butler, that is going to bring him right into it. So Peter John Claysons, a lot of speed in that 23 machine he is fighting up for. Looks like he could be on pace for maybe a top 5 here today if he keeps going the way he is.
Really great, Sam, if we could get that replay of Butler up, because he was off the track for a while, but it was down the straight. So I've got full speed being forced onto the grass by a GT car coming up here. He goes to the outside here. Oh no, so they're going to pull out, and he's got absolutely nowhere to go. Oh, he hit the wall as well, did Butler, twice in fact, and he has got some damage. And then almost a third bit of contact. It was a good drive from the 233 to open up the steering there. Was that wrong there from Butler, do you think? Do you think he should have anticipated the fact that, you know, the two cars ahead were going to go side by side, or do you think that's something that, you know, it's just not something you can avoid as a P2?
I think that's something you frankly can't avoid as a P2. It looked like that Ferrari was sticking to the inside. Oh, big kathunk there, and more cars around. This is again coming out of turn 9.
Oh, it's almost a track block. The 12 of Rob was involved, and the 264 4. Oh, that's Van Uitven, who has also spun wrong. Well, I thought we were going to have a track blockage. Thank goodness it wasn't around a part of the field where there was a lot more cars. Otherwise, that really could have been a number of drivers out. But Healy, he's had a couple of tough rounds. Had a problem at the start of last round. And of course, he was, I think, spun out earlier on, not due to any fault of his own. Oh, he's lost it. He's another guy who's lost it, although that makes a bit more sense. He dipped away onto the grass. And then the 88 here kind of did the worst thing. Oh no, sorry, it was the Lambe. That was how the track got blocked. And, well, can you imagine if we had another 10 cars lined up after that? It would have been an absolute nightmare. But fortunately, remarkably, I think only 3 cars getting significant damage from that.
Yeah, exactly. Very, very lucky. That is a completely blind apex as you come up over that left-hander. So tricky to get right. And we've got a little bit of a battle brewing here between Kochi and Knight. This is for P1 in that GTAM field.
Yeah, you were saying earlier on how Knight was kind of just waiting behind Kochi, and now maybe it's time to pounce as Butler has come into the pit. So Butler, who hit the wall, remember, down the straight. Maybe a lot of damage on that car, feeling the need to come into the pits. What we saw last time out, I believe it was 14 minutes, wasn't it? Or maybe just short of 14 minutes that the drivers could go on a tank of fuel. So you could get to the end of the race here with one more stop. So I imagine that's what Butler's thinking. Take his faster pair. He's only got one more stop to go after this. It won't lose him too much time a bit. You do want to run as far as you can this first in so that you're running as little fuel as possible during the race. But yeah, Butler drops down to 13th position. I'm saying at the moment might even drop behind Swemstra as well. He had to make an early pit stop. I expect the GTDs to get about an hour into the race before needing a pit stop point, like 55 minutes to an hour. So we ride on board with Knight trying to catch Kochi right now. Holst only 3 seconds behind. Holst wasn't really a factor, I think, last time out at, maybe he was, I think it was alright. But basically, it's a lot more competitive, I think, than what we saw last time out at Road Atlanta. So that is good to see because we've probably got the top 5 and separated by 7 seconds.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty good battle there for that GTD-AM field. And yeah, I think Holst there, as I said before, Watkins Glen is one of those tracks that if you get into a good groove and you like it, you're going to be fast around here. There's not a lot of tracks like this left in the world. Is that Stringer going very slowly, coming out of the toe of the boot? It almost looks like the car's crabbing a little bit. I see some damage to the left front of that Ferrari.
Yeah, whilst it's very competitive in the GT3, and we have seen a lot of problems for drivers, and Stringer is the next one. I think he's all right now. Well, that was a very good sector 4 for him. Although I think that was on the previous lap. Yeah, this lap, a few tenths of a second off. Let's see what happened to him. I think he's going to be by himself again, unless the number 5 house has gone into the back of him. No, Stringer going onto the grass, and he just slides out a little bit of contact. That's not going to force him back into the pits at least, but it has cost him a handful of seconds.
Indeed, as this is Samuel Lamont trying to make a move on Javier. They're up ahead of him in the Audi, trying to get, that's Beck making the move on Lamont, and that is Kochi right there behind him. This is right in front of that battle, and there's contact. The Audi goes spinning through the bus stop.
Look at the damage as well onto that car as well. The Arctic Racing driver having to go back to the pit surely after that one. And that was a high-speed impact going straight across the bus stop. We were going to get a replay of it. Kochi, yeah, I believe involved in all of that, and now that gap down to just 0.3 of a second to Knight and Holst, now within 2 seconds of the race lead.
Yeah, getting very, very close there. And remember, if Wojciech Kochi can get himself ahead, that'll be better for him points-wise. So this is a replay of that. That's Lamont in the Audi, and the BMW just looked like maybe Kochi made the contact. Let's wait. Oh, that was just a miscommunication. That Beamer just turning in way too early and side-swiping Samuel Lamont in that Arctic Racing 1-2-2 Audi.
Wait to see if he does have to come into the pits. Kochi's got damage, actually. That wasn't from that instant, was it?
I don't think so, unless he had to check up and just bumped into, excuse me, that was, I believe, Valho right ahead of him that he ran into.
Well, at least he hasn't got enough damage to come into the pits, but that is more good news for Knight. It might make an overtake more feasible for him. Kochi still leading the way. Horse now down to 1.5 seconds behind the GTD leader. So by the way, we haven't caught in really on the at the top of the pros as we see Le Mans still lapping around there. Apologies, I think I may have been getting confused between Le Mans and Bocci for a second there. It's Le Mans with the damage. Bocci, I think, getting away without any damage on that one. But there is the top of the GTD pros, and Ray's recently just opening up that gap a little bit more. He did lose a little bit of time in that last lap, but actually Krebstas just made a mistake on this lap. He lost 3 seconds in the, as we got the leader off, and that is a change for the lead. Catchpole now leads this race, and for the second race in a row, Kraft has had a problem from the race lead, and he drops down to 3rd place as well. Now this is in the pit window. He can afford to take a pit stop now, but that is not good news for him as we see what happened, and it's all by himself.
Yeah, all by his lonesome clobbers on that first curb. We talked about how those LMP2s don't really like to take the curbs, and I think he just caught a little bit too much of it. Big hit into the wall there. That's going to be some pretty massive damage to the right side of that LMP2.
He's dropped behind Force Dyke as well, so how competitive is this P2 field, which really Kraft and Olu were dominating back at Road Atlanta. It didn't seem like anyone else would come close, but it's really good to see Catchpole and Force Dyke raising their game as Kraft does decide to go into the pits, going to get that damage fixed. I assume he will use his faster pair to fix it. I don't think he'll save it for later on, but well, whilst at Road Atlanta he was being lucky, that one definitely down to himself. So it's Catchpole for the first time this season leading the race, and O'Leary behind him. Close behind him is Forsyth, but not close enough to go for any move at the moment. As Kraft drops down the order, he should still be ahead of the next, or the highest placed pitted driver so far, which is Kevin Swemstra. As O'Leary just moving through the castle right there. Forsyth particularly close. He's made up a few tenths of a second on that part of the second. He just runs a little bit wide through the chute and gives up that time. A spinner in the background. There is a BMW through the chute, and that was in a particularly dangerous position. I think that was Jackson. He towed straight back to the pits and unfortunately avoided a track blockage.
Yeah, thank goodness we've seen a lot of that here today. That 3-wide Mokic and Barnes getting very tight with some GTD traffic there. Barnes trying to close up behind the Quantum Racing driver, just being very patient here. Let's see if he dips a nose going down into turn 8. Indeed, he's going to poke his nose to the inside later on the binders, able to get his way by Mokic, and there he goes up into 6th. A good move by Josh Barnes.
That was Mokek's been in plenty of battles so far tonight. That one he has to be the loser out of, it seems. Quantum Racing go up into 6th place, and he was 3 tenths faster on that last lap, so he should have the pace to pull away in the future. Thanks to everyone who's putting comments in the YouTube chat. We super appreciate it. And I think it's like Jaw91 who's saying, who might be Nevid who's saying, I'm not quite sure. Saying how LMP2 cars are solid AF, which I fully agree with, because yeah, they do seem to be able to take some hits and still be able to drive away. So yeah, many of the drivers will be very thankful of that tonight. As we see Hakon Grebstad being caught. It's not being caught too much in that, just that gap to Oyston Hereford maintaining. It's always been quite small, 2.5 seconds. Warner a little bit further back, 3 tenths of a second back. Warner, the fastest man in the entire GTD field, on that last tour round, so maybe he is starting to increase his speed a little bit. And there might be an opportunity here at an overtake into the bus stop. Just really needs to nail this first turn, which is super tricky now with this huge curve on the outside. It's not as advantageous to go a long way up the track as it used to be. Instead, you've got to be a little bit more careful when you are negotiating it. They've got the Porsche just ahead. That is a lapped car, so they don't have to worry about that one. As Warner gets him right into the draft, it's not going to be a big enough braking area, I think, into the bus stop to go for a move. But well, you can be much closer than that.
Indeed, you can. Looks like he lost a little bit of time, although runs very wide at the apex. That Porsche ahead of them, that lapped car.
Ooh,
that's
going into the lead. Sorry. There he is. He's up ahead of Catchpole. Will that happen very quick? Catchpole lost 1.5 seconds on that last lap, so that gap was at about 2 seconds just a few moments ago. But must have been a mistake there from Catchpole, and we've got another change for the lead-off. Different leads in Spain.
Indeed, and I don't maybe want to put on my tinfoil hat here, Sam, but I wonder if that could have been a little bit of team tactics. Both of these drivers are Friction Racing teammates, and O'Leary a little bit farther ahead in points. With such a shortened schedule, I wonder if that was team tactics to get Thomas O'Leary out and into the lead.
I think that is a good shout, as the tracks go way off the track there. Is there no 1x for going out on that part of the track?
It is very, very wide out there to pick it up. You have got to literally almost be clipping the wall, I think, to get a 1x around that turn 8 runoff.
Aha, okay, so yeah, of course, as someone says, it's realistic. So what the rules that they set in real life, it's all good. But yeah, interesting. That is the track limits there. As it's just absolutely relentless through the track. It certainly seems to be a lot easier for the PTs to overtake around this part. So it's just like a straight line, honestly. Now I don't think there's even stock cars. I think will be near flat out. Round the S is not quite as tight as it used to be, as Catchpole gets a hefty draft. We really saw how powerful the draft was back at Road Atlanta, and you can see it from the onboard there, especially considering that most likely the two Friction guys are running the same setup. Really a huge increase in pace when in the vacuum of the car behind. In the GTD ads, Sam actually absolutely knows where I'm going. Absolutely in sync. Because, yeah, Kochi 4 tenths of a second ahead of Knight, and Hulse is just getting that little bit closer every lap. He seems to be about a tenth of a second faster, and he's got that gap back down to just 1.2 seconds.
Yeah, he does, and Hulse here, I think, is playing a long game. We talked earlier about Knight playing a bit of that long game with Kochi, but I get the sense that Hulse is just kind of putting in the laps that he needs to run here. He knows how long of a race this is, and he see how easy it is for drivers to make mistakes. And that's that number 228 just kind of running its own race here. He doesn't want to push too hard. He's letting Knight know that he's there. He's just running good lines and maybe seeing if he can force a mistake out of the 225.
Ignium's Death's Hourglass, I think, which is an interesting YouTube name. Saying how there's no 1x there, as you were saying before, DJ. But I think at the penultimate turn, there is, if you go 3 or so car widths outside of the curve. So you really do need to push it to the extremities around this circuit. As we've got the first few P2 cars into the pits, Freitas, Claysons, and Barnes. Now, of course, they aren't the very first, but first scheduled pit stops, it seems. I thought these P2s would go a little bit further than this, but of course it is such a fast circuit here at Watkins Glen. It is understandable if they are using a bit more fuel than what we saw last time out at Road Atlanta. And I will take this opportunity to thank SDK Gaming, who provide our amazing overlay. And in these types of multi-class races, it is so fantastic to have the SDK Gaming overlay up on screen. The timing tower that you see on the left is fairly new, at least this kind of incarnation of it. The fact that we've got the different classes separated, and hopefully to you guys watching along, it really does give you a lot of information about what's going on out on circuit, giving you the top places out on track. But of course, this isn't the only overlay. You can get a NASCAR overlay with the timing tower, or you can use the old-fashioned ticker as well. Of course, in most of our series we use the F1 overlay, and of course so you can use SDK Gaming for many other functions such as live timing as a heads-up display. So do check out SDK-game.co.uk as Edward Knight has spun out from 2nd place, and that is a hard hit for Edward Knight, ending up into the wall, and he's dropped down to 4th place in class after that.
Yeah, he has indeed, and that was going down into the laces of the boot, going into the chute as it's called. And a very easy mistake to make there. It's a downhill section, but just a little bit downhill. And if you break a couple of feet late going into there, the car can get a little bit squirrely. That's exactly what you saw happen with him. You saw how it wanted to dance around a little bit under braking, and that's just a result of carrying a little bit too much speed into that corner, and that obviously sends Knight out into the wall.
And Ignium Motorsports JB can take full responsibility for that, because I think about a moment prior, it may even be like a second, a few seconds after or before that's been saying go ahead. So well done, that's all I can say. We've got a lot of P2s into the pits, just O'Leary, Kraft staying out. Apologies, even Kraft pitted early, so Kraft actually in 2nd place there after that earlier pit stop, so that's not too bad for Kraft, is it? Considering that he hit the wall earlier on. He did take a slightly shorter pit stop, did Dan Kraft, so maybe that's part of the reason why he's got that position. We can see he's 5 seconds ahead of catch pole, so not too bad for Kraft, as we've got Jackson in a very dangerous part of the track, and he wisely toes back to the pits.
Yeah, some big damage to the front of that Lamborghini. Let's check out this replay. I'm a little bit surprised at this. We're just trying to pull it up there, but looks like we're not going to get it. But here we go. So this is him coming up the S's. Looks like the 77 come up behind was there. Yeah, a little bit of a love tap there from behind in the 77, and that was John Barnes that made contact with him.
Well, I'm always looking to make football puns when it comes to John, but could have well been a foul for him right there, as O'Leary is into the pits. Now, is this scheduled? No, this is taking a while. He should have been out a little while ago, but he is taking a while, though Forsyth took quite a while. Well, he was 57 stationary, Freitas 54. Now, could that be due to tyres? I doubt the drivers would be taking tyres, if I'm honest, as he gets out of the pits. 56. So it's not a whole lot different to what we saw Forsyth and Freitas being stationary for. So, could that be tyres, you think, DJ, or do you think that's maybe like a penalty that they picked up?
No, I was actually watching O'Leary. He did take tires on that stop, so that is what is accounting for that longer lap. Now, that means that he's going to be able to go a little bit faster here. I anticipate probably these drivers wanting to take tires during one of their stops. It will be a long stop, but there's a lot of lateral load that gets put through the tires here at Watkins Glen, and that's very, very easy to put a lot of wear on them. And so I would anticipate probably for this or for the second stop, taking tires at one point is triple stinting. It's just going to be a little bit far out of reach, so we'll have to see what O'Leary is able to do with this fresh set of boots. For Kraft now up in the lead, what he has got to do is just run good, consistent laps, try to grow that gap a little bit so that if he opts to take tires on his second stop, he will be guaranteed an advantage.
Yeah, so just a quick rundown then of the Jersey that have taken tires then. Or that would be O'Leary, seemingly has taken tyres. Then we've got Forsyth, Freitas, and Butler. Actually, probably Butler not, because he was only stationed for 45, unless he just took less fuel. I'm a little bit unsure about Morgan Butler, really his whole. In fact, he probably did actually, because he pitted earlier on, so he would have had less fuel to fill up the tank. But certainly Kraft did not, and yeah, neither did Catch Pole. So it's kind of separated out this P2 class now. It's not as close as it was, although you can see it is quite close, to be fair, between P3 and P6. but it does give Kraft that healthy advantage. And of course, if you want to check out the lap times between these drivers, do check out the SDK Gaming live timing webpage in the description below. Click on that link and it'll open up a web page and you compare the lap times, because yeah, it'll be interesting to compare Kraft's lap times to the others over the next few laps. Butler at last lap actually was a 1.5 seconds faster than Kraft, using those fresh tyres to his advantage.
Yeah, and I think that we're going to see that back and forth as this is Forsdyke trying to make a move on Barnes. Barnes, who could be suffering from a little bit of damage, remember, with that accident that we saw coming up through the S's. Looked like a pretty clean-cut path there for James Forsdyke. He's able to get on by, now just has to work his way through some GTD cars.
He's got that Porsche in a bad spot there, trying to get underneath and onto the outside. Now the 77, will he try to get the cutback or go all the way around the outside? He does go around the outside, which is always a bit scary to do when you, of course, you could be understeered into and could go hard into the wall, of course, in that scenario. Yeah, he seems to get through it well. So, because that's the P2 pits kind of done, we're expecting the GTDs in at about the 55-minute mark or so, and that will be comfortably far enough for them to get to the end of the race. In fact, they only need to get a couple more laps to be within the pit window bit. They will push it as far as possible so that they're running as little fuel as possible. Want a nice and light car for as much of this race as possible, as we are seeing Oyster Hereford still holding off Chris Warner. This has been a tight battle for quite a while between these two drivers. Hereford and I forget whether it was Hereford or Hereford managing to win last time out, sorry, at Road Atlanta. It was Grebstad who was leading most of the way. Warner was battling, I believe, with Grebstad for that race lead for quite a while. So a little bit further back than he'd like, and of course they were being absolutely trounced right now by Christoph Reyes, who's got a 10-second advantage out to the lead.
Yeah, Reyes really has just led from the beginning of this race and not looked back. And I think here for Hereford, he's having to drive out of his rearview mirrors a little bit as we check in and give a little bit of love to our leader, Christoph Reyes. Just making that Lamborghini work around here to perfection. Taking it out there, you see he's not pushing too hard. He's not really bringing the car out super wide going through that first corner. Just nice and easy running, and he's got himself a massive gap. And the biggest thing for him in that, when he's dealing with the faster LMP2 cars that are coming around, is that he will be able to just kind of breathe easier. He can let them by and not have to worry about losing too much time to Grebstad behind him.
As we see a replay of Morgan Butler. He is back into the pits. Uh-oh. Oh, that was a big hit there. Was that with the 218? I want to say that was the 218. Could it be Bergamo? Oh wow, and then going off the track. I looked down at my screen there to try to find what the 218 was, and then I suddenly saw that going straight on into the wall. Could have been Stuart Musselwhite. No, I don't think it was, because he's been in the pits for a while. So a GT3 though involved in that one, and yeah, but that was just a cloud of smoke. And certainly in the last few seasons, DJ, the smoke effect on iRacing has changed so that it's much more tricky to see through. And Morgan Butler's fallen victim to that. That is a shame, because he's shown good pace tonight, but a couple of incidents have ruled him out.
Yeah, really and truly, and that's just one of the things that happens sometimes in multi-class racing. Sometimes you get into those incidents, you get caught out like that, and you just can't control it. It's the give and take of multi-class racing. But one of the drivers who's been taking, that is Wojciech Koci. He continues to lead that GTM field, able to get about a second gap over Hulse. Knight, however, has fallen down. Remember, we saw that little incident from him. So Hulse continuing to have good pace here and keeping up behind Koci.
Yeah, Dupin doesn't quite seem to have the pace of these guys. Good to see Anton racing around. He's certainly a name I remember from the Simracersworld GT Championship from many moons ago. So a bit under the radar actually is the Porsche driver so far. You can see he's the only Porsche up in the top 6 at the moment. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be a rival for those guys, as we do give him a little bit of love on the cameras. And do let us know on the chat if you are supporting him, or you might be kind and show them on the screen for you. As Stringer is into the pits. Now that is quite early. Stringer had a problem earlier, right? Now we've had a lot of problems, DJ, and I'm trying to keep track of all of them. Stringer was... did he crash at the chute? I feel like a few drivers have crashed at the chute. I think that's a safe bet, but he did have some damage, I believe.
Yeah, I believe he did, as well as we also see Samuel Lamont coming on in. Remember, that was that big shunt coming through the bus stop for him. So he's going to get that fast repair. Kevin Stringer just waiting for fuel to be put into that Ferrari. He should be able to just about make it here on out as we tick over 46 minutes. Probably have to do a little bit of fuel saving, but he will be clear as this is Edward Knight starting to challenge who we were just talking about, Dupin.
We have to catch up, and this could be the overtake to the heel. No, he didn't want to overtake there. Maybe, well, I was about to say maybe he's waiting for the pit stops. I don't think that is the case, because I think he wants to get past right away. He's got no time to lose. He was half a second faster on the last lap. So he should definitely have the pace advantage as they go through the penultimate corner. Such a dangerous curves out there, so it does seem like he can go very far out there without picking up a one. But they are a little bit wary of it, as now just struggling a little bit around those final couple of corners, particularly that final corner, a bit tight on corner exit. He wasn't able to pass, but seemingly gains quite a bit of time down the pit straight. So got a spinner just ahead now. That's not for position. That is Chris Wood. Good to see Wood back out there after he demolished that car earlier on, if I recall correctly. And he's currently in 15th place, and I think that was all by himself at that time.
Yeah, it looked like a little bit of too heavy braking going down into the 90. I think he just locked up his rear brakes, and that's what sent him spinning around. Whoa, that's getting a little bit gnarly there. I believe that is Catchpole that's trying to get on by him. That was a very, very close call.
Bit of an update in terms of the lap times from these P2 cars, at least as far as we're aware. Kraft and Catchpole did not take tyres. Meanwhile, O'Leary, Forsyth and Freitas all did. The pace difference at the moment, O'Leary is a bit faster than Kraft, but not by a whole lot. 0.3 of a second faster on that last lap, so he needs to do a little bit more. Forsyth just set the fastest fourth sector of anyone. There are 5 sectors according to iRacing on this track, which is deeply annoying, because 3 sectors I think we can all imagine. 5 sectors, I have no idea what corners are in each sector, but well, whatever corners there are, he was very good around them. In fact, he gained a second in Kraft just around that part of the lap. It was only 18 seconds, and yet he took a second out of him as Mocek is on the back of Roy. Now, I'm not sure when he lost this position to Darian Roy. It could have been in the pit stops, actually, because he was 22 seconds longer stationary. So this is old tyres versus fresh tyres, and the number 2 is giving all that he's got, defending hard into the chute, and he holds on to 7th place, but I can't see him holding on for much longer.
No, I can't either, but he's doing a very good job to place that number 2 machine just right in the middle of the track, holds the preferred line there, going through the toe. You saw Mocek there trying to see if he could carry some speed.
Sorry, I just saw Rutson toe back to the pits, and he was off track for a moment before that. He was following these cars. I don't think he was actually far behind was Rutson, but yeah, unfortunately, back to the pits for him as Mocek tries to overtake. Look at the squirreling around there for Roy. Now this is where you can't really overtake for Mocek, but he's sure going to be close as they move on to their 32nd lap of the race.
Yeah, in this final corner here, it's all about setup. You see a little bit of the crossover there from Mocek. Not able to get it done. He's got some good draft, though. Is he going to try this down into the 90? No, he's going to think about it, look at it, brakes a little bit earlier. That gives him a better line. You see Roy missing the apex there a little bit, and that is going to give more speed and more momentum to Thomas Mocek here. I think he is going to be able to get this going. Here he comes.
Didn't build up enough momentum, it seemed, into the slipstream. He almost has to back away once again, and then had the unfavourable line into the bus stop. So Mojek just needed to get the launch slightly better there. It is tricky to get the momentum right. You don't want to catch too early through the S's, otherwise you have to lift out of it. You want to just catch up just as you get to the exit of it, and Mojek losing a lot of time right now. This is not good for him because he is clearly much faster than the car ahead. So stays in 8th position. Valo is into the pits, and also Kochi as well is into the pits. So Holst takes the lead of the race. Knights and Dupin into 2nd and 3rd now. So we've got the first few pit stops in the GTD category. As Roy's going to get held up here, just about manages to get past the Ferrari right there. I think that may have been was it Johan Kaiser perhaps. They were just getting past Ben Hicks, apologies, getting past us. Oh, that's ambitious there from Roy, and the Porsche having to go a long way off the circuit. That's one of the team mad Porsches, I believe, as still Roy is holding on Mojek into the toe, and we'll see this time if he can pull it off. He's certainly got the pace advantage. The slipstream effect is super strong. He just needs to time his launch well up the SS section.
Yeah, it's a little bit almost like oval racing here in the way that you've got to get that timing right, Sam. You've got to just figure it out, make sure you time it right so you don't have to lift out of the throttle. This looks a little bit better for Mojek. Tries to break out of it a little bit, flashing the lights. He's going to have to go the long way around here and be later on the binders. He's going to go for it. Almost contact into the bus stop. I think they did bang doors. They definitely banged doors. There goes Mojek. He's able to keep it back under him, and that is right in front of the 77 of John Barnes, and John Barnes able to get up and on through.
Ooh, as the Ferrari nearly makes contact, sells the 135. Mojek, I think, has got a lot of damage. Don't cut the course, mate, otherwise you'll get a huge penalty. Toes back to the pits. Shame for Mojek. That's the danger of going alongside. And actually, they coped really well with it for the first part of the corner, but the second part, it just was not possible for them. And yeah, big shame for Mojek there. As we see, Miguel Freitas on fresh tyres. He is attacking PJ Clayton's on that last lap. Freitas was half a second faster. And he hasn't had a big pace advantage, at least from what I've seen, but in Sector 1 alone he gained by half a second, so I think it was partially due to the traffic on that last lap. As here comes Freitas. We know how powerful the P2 draft is. It's powerful enough there for Freitas, and he needs to get past because he is losing touch with James Forsyth ahead.
Yes, he is. They've really got to keep this battle up, and Freitas knows he has to do it. You've got to take advantage of those fresher tires in this first stint, as if we see the reverse of that getting played out. The drivers that didn't come in for fresh tires that decide to get it on the second stint, they're going to have the advantage in that final shorter run to the line. A little bit of lap traffic that could present an opportunity for Freitas. If he tries to go, they're going to slip around him there, but he's not going to have enough to get past by Clay, since he's still got to set this up.
Gripstad into the pits. He's the first of the GTD front runners that we've seen into the pits, I believe. We have seen a few of the AMs into the pits so far. He's the first big hitter in the pro field to come in, so 53 minutes, pretty much what we expected, 55 or so. As Gripstad actually had some damage on that car. You can see both the front and the rear of that car being reformed, I guess, and going back away. So Hereford is now into second place. Warner still cannot get past his BMW rival right now, and once again that's another lap, but Warner will be saving some fuel, so expect him to go one lap further than the driver ahead, and that might be enough for him to get the launch.
Yeah, indeed it might be, and that may be the strategy that Chris Warner is just trying to use here. He doesn't particularly look too aggressive, like he's trying to push Hereford to get anything done. I think he's perfectly content to just ride behind here, save a little bit of extra fuel, lift and coast going into the longer straights, and be able to come out maybe ahead once pits are completed.
It's quite tricky at the moment to tell you exactly what's happening in the GTD AM field. Just to remind that Kochi has already come into the pits. He was formerly the race leader, was Kochi, so don't take for granted the order that we currently have in that GTD AM category. is likely to change as Rays is into the pits, and the fact that Rays is coming in pretty much indicates that I think everyone else will be coming into the pits apart from a few drivers who have specifically tried to save some fuel. Now this has been perfect so far for Christoph Rays. Didn't take part at Red Atlanta, but honestly if he can perform like this for the rest of the season, he could be a championship contender. Gets it stopped on the marks perfect, and he should be stationary for probably the next 30 or so seconds, putting in enough fuel to get him to the end of the race.
Yeah, and we do not anticipate any of these GTDs taking tires here. It's just not the strategy. You're going to lose way too much time in the pit stops for it. Here's Bradley Hulse, the leader of that GTD AM field. He's going to come on down pit lane as well. So yes, this is going to be the end of the pit stop cycle.
I wonder, will he come out ahead of his rivals in the AM category? Knight stays out. Gosh, so Knight managed to save a decent amount of fuel there. In fact, yeah, still a fair few drivers still to come into the pits. We've got Herford, Warner, Knight, Dupin, Hodgson, all yet to come into the pits in the GTD category. But yeah, will Hulse be ahead of Avocci? Oh, did Avocci have a problem in his pit stop? Not quite sure. He seems to be a long way back on circuit. There he is. Still going around the third sector. And Knight, of course, staying out. Hulse has got, yeah, I think that is correct too. Hulse has got another 20 seconds or so still a fuel to put into the car. No, sorry. So it seems like Hulse has got back going again. So that's a huge advantage for him. So has Kochi taken tyres and Hulse not taken tyres?
Very well could be. Hulse didn't take tires, but I'm not sure, Sam.
Or maybe Avocci had an instance. I'm not quite sure. I don't recall Avocci having an instance. Perhaps lap 31 actually. We're hearing maybe was the problem for Avocci. So apologies if that is escaping my mind at the moment, but certainly a big difference between those cars then, and is definitely then of the drivers who have pitted them, Bradley Hulse leading the way in the GTD amateur category, but the top three still yet to pit. Hereford into the pits as well, Warner and Yortatus into the pits as well. And interesting that Warner wasn't able to go one further lap. I thought he would have saved enough fuel, honestly, but it seems like he did have to come to the pits. Now, can Warner get ahead of Hereford, though, during the pit stops? They're both seemingly taking tyres, I think. I don't know if you get an off-board shot of Warner here. Just see him up on the jets. He is up on the jets, so we are seeing some drivers take tyres and some drivers not taking tyres, which is honestly not an element I thought we'd have in this race, DJ.
No, nor I thought for sure that the LMPs would probably take them at some point with just the increased downforce and everything they had to go, but I did not anticipate these GT3s taking tires, but that's what we're seeing. Hereford able to get back out on track. Grebstead able to go out ahead of him. Warner is going to be in the same position as they were, and they both took tires there, so this is going to be an even battle between the two.
So we've now got Boland in the lead of the pro category, but Boland did have a problem very early on in the race. He's got an extra pit stop still to go, so he is not in contention. Then we've got Rays, who seemingly took tyres. Grebstad took tyres. Hereford took tyres. The highest up of the drivers who didn't take tyres is Ben Hicks, who we're currently watching along. So it seems like it's actually the popular thing to go for tyres and not. So I do believe then that Hulse then did not take tyres. Did Edward Knight take tyres? Edward Knight did also not take tyres. So those guys now with a lead over Kochi, and Kochi I believe did take tyres then. So he should have the rubber to catch up to those guys ahead later on in the event. So this is really fun. This is the perfect length race, I think, for this divide, as you can see up on screen here. So the guys with shorter pit stops not taking tyres. So yeah, Kochi, Valle and Dupin all going to be coming back very strongly later on.
Yeah, and that's a big gap for Kochi to make up there to be able to move his way back up through the field, but it's not unassailable there, especially with fresh rubber. Just that, as I've said before, the lateral loads around here a lot on these tires, very easy to wear them out. And I think especially as we've seen as many drivers as we have really having to catch the car coming up over that turn 9, a lot of drivers just opting to take tires in terms of safety. But we are going to have to see how this strategy plays out, Sam, because I am absolutely loving it.
Kevin Swemstra letting us know that he's had to pull out of the race, I believe, because of a cramp in my left foot, which is a big shame. So sorry to Swemstra out there. Shame that yeah, this race hasn't quite gone his way, and yeah, getting some good feedback on some of the tyres out there on track. It's going to be very tricky in the last 20 minutes as Hicks versus Warner. Now, I would have thought Warner would be sprinting up into the distance, but Hicks putting up a fight there. Oh, apologies, was that Warner actually overtaking Hicks? I think I may have got that the wrong way around. I believe that was, I think, before it was Hicks on the back of Hereford, but quickly he's lost that time. I thought he was actually retaliating. But no, he was losing another place there to Chris Warner, which is what we'd expect. So yeah, we wait to see what's going to happen in that GTD Pro. I'm honestly seeing everyone taking tyres in the GTD Pro, so really no change of strategy there. It's just the GTD AM where there is a difference. And Holz has had a poor lap here. So in Sector 1, he lost 3 tenths to Knight. In Sector 2, he lost 6 tenths. In Sector 3, he lost another 6 tenths. It's been an awful lap for Bradley Holz, and pretty much his entire lead is gone.
Well, and that's really as a result of this battle he's been having with Neil Cooper directly ahead of him. Now, Neil Cooper is a GTD Pro driver, and Holz trying to scramble on by him. They were side by side through the majority of the lap, and that is fighting for position on track. It is perfectly allowed, but Holz just losing out there tonight as a result of that battle with Cooper.
Yeah, and Cooper only behind there because he took the tyres, so it was kind of an expected move, but that's yeah, disappointing there for Holz. It's cost him quite a bit of time on that last lap. Yeah, it was a 48.75. His best lap is a 45.45, so 3 seconds off his best time, albeit, of course, he has now got a lot more fuel in, and he has got very worn tyres after not changing them at his pit stop. Yortatus is going to be the next driver to be overtaken. He did not take tyres, so this should be easy enough for Cooper to overtake once again. And I don't know, but when I have like a strategy decision, unfortunately, you know, we don't have a whole lot of strategy races, but I certainly remember driving the FW31 DJ, and I really enjoyed going for like as many stops as possible, have a really light fuel just so I could overtake people. I don't know if it's because I do so little of it normally, but it's just very satisfying to have a strategy where you have to get the moves done out on circuit, and well, that's what Cooper has got to do right now because he lost track position and now he's trying to regain it again.
Yeah, indeed. It is a very, very satisfying thing to get done. It's there that move gets done and dusted going down into turn 8. And a lot of times, depending on the cars that you're driving, making those multiple stops, getting fresher rubber, getting a lighter fuel load each time is really, really going to help you. These GT3s, well, they were some pretty big, bulky cars. So yes, the fuel load is really going to help, but not nearly as much as we would see, for example, in a F3 or an Indy Pro 2000, where that lighter fuel load is going to make the car just come alive.
We have a pit stop. It is for Dan Kraft. He had to come in early for a pit stop. Remember, he led, then he spun at the bus stop, came into the pits early to fix some damage, and did decide not to take tyres on his first stop. Now, we expect him to take tyres on this stop. Not that he has to, honestly. His pace has been really strong. He had a strong lead over Catchpole and Co. Now, this is going to be quite a long stop for fuel, though. He didn't put a whole lot of fuel in on his last stop. I think he will be on fumes right now, so I'll have to take pretty much a full tank. Meanwhile, other drivers took a bit more fuel at their first stop, so it means that they have to take less fuel at their second stop. But this will put Kraft a long way off the lead, and expect after the second round of pit stops for Kraft still not to be in the lead, but he should have fresher tyres than everyone else when it comes to a boil later on. So honestly, right now I'd put Kraft as the favourite to win this race, albeit of course the fact that he's already used his fast repair means that he really cannot afford another incident.
Well, at this point, if he's going for the race win, another incident for him and having to come down pit lane would really, really compromise him. So this is now the opportunity here for Catchpole and O'Leary, the two Friction Racing teammates, to start to pull away as much as possible, try to build that gap up. I would not be surprised if our estimations were accurate before from Catchpole that was team orders letting O'Leary on by. It looks like that. Whoa, that was very close there for Thomas O'Leary. But I would not be surprised if we see O'Leary being let by Catchpole to just try to run off in the distance and stave off any undercut from Kraft.
Yeah, and of course O'Leary's got the fresher tyres as well, so it makes absolute sense for these guys to switch around. They're not really racing one another. Of course, Catchpole might be able to catch up some time later on, but he's going to have a much longer second stop, and he won't be able to make up the entire 25 odd seconds that he's going to lose taking those new tyres. So the sooner the better for this change. And but it's pretty crazy just how long a pit stop is, or maybe just how deceivingly short this lap is, because over half a lap did Kraft lose to the race leaders, as we have got a change for lead here in the GTD amateur category. Knight leads the way for what I believe is the first time tonight. He started P4, he dropped down to P5 initially, had really good pace, then had a problem, but he's back up there again. Really good pace since they came out of the stops. Hulse has not been as quick. He's got involved in some battles with other GT3 drivers, and Knight is now leading the way and immediately pulls a 7/10 of a second advantage.
And that is absolutely crucial, because he's going to have Kochi closing up behind him. As that's Bod Boland. That was your leader in the GTD Pros around.
He still had another pit stop to make anyway, Boland, so he probably was only going to end up in 5th or 6th anyway, but that's certainly not what he wanted whatsoever. On old tyres, remember, is Boland as well. He hasn't changed his tyres so far, so an hour and 6 minute lot of old tyres are on that machine. And that's not good for the Berserk Racing drivers. So Reyes takes the lead, which is a legit lead for Christoph Reyes. So that is definitely what should be up on screen now. And Boland just has to regather that one. But yeah, Hulse is really straight. Now on the timing side, saying that he's 2 seconds behind. Also went up to 3 seconds for a moment, but even 2 seconds is really bad. I wonder if he's really struggling with the tyres, perhaps.
That's what I was thinking, and it could be a combination of one of two things. One, they could just be reaching the cliff in terms of tire life here. The second is having been pursued by Knight like that, he could have overcooked the tires a little bit, just overheated them, and that's what really sent him tumbling down the order like that. Gap now at about 1 second, courtesy of some dealings there for Edward Knight. That was I believe Stockman's was getting around him for the GTD Pros, but yeah, it's some time definitely getting lost.
EJ Clayson's into the pits in the P2s, and also Paul Gosling as well. That'll be their last pit stops, apologies, tonight. As Hulse is going to be overtaken next by Southby, and Southby's another one of these drivers who took tyres. So it does seem to be very much the popular opinion to take tyres in the GTD Pro field, and Hulse and Knight are a couple of the few exceptions. Kochi now 19 seconds behind. He's got half an hour, apologies, to gain that time difference. As Knight's now going to lose more time, and he's in fact going a little bit wide. Could this be another change for the lead? Hulse back underneath him. There's nowhere for the 21 car to go, as they are alongside into the third to final corner. Hulse for year 1 racing, trying to overtake the EPU Motorsports driver, and he has got past. So we've got another change for the lead. It's Hulse back into the lead, and well, it seems like this whole duel right now, DJ, is being totally decided by what other GT3 Pro drivers they're coming across.
Yeah, the GT3 Pro drivers just really causing those two to swap back and forth, and that is terrible news for the both of them, frankly, because they need to just be running a clean race and try to put in hot laps to prevent Kochi from being able to catch it back up with them. But he's got that gap down to about 16 seconds right now. As you said, 30 minutes to go. That is certainly catchable.
shout out to Apex Racing Academy, one of the sponsors for this broadcast. Apex Racing Academy with over 30 data packs, and those data packs including setups, track guides, weekly group coaching sessions, also integrated with BRS, and it's also fantastic with their setup sync technology as well. So big thanks to Apex Racing Academy. To check out apexracingec.com to get driver tuition from some of the best drivers in the world of iRacing. As here was the replay of holes. And it was very spectacular as well. It was a very nice move. And if that's actually contact, I missed that bit of contact there from the two of them. And that's why they slowed up quite a bit afterwards. Very messy on that part of the track. There's holes back into the lead, but all that batsing has cost them so much time. And maybe that's one of the deficits of not taking tyres. That you do have to factor in the that you are going to be overtaken by drivers, and well, that has certainly cost them. And you can see now Hulse, all of a sudden, in a quick change of momentum, Hulse, the one sprinting away from Knight, but Kochi catching up by a huge amount, lap after lap at the moment. On that last lap, I know that it's a little bit, well, we might be able to compare this lap actually, but you'll see it on the timing tower on the left. The time's coming in 47.6, 48.8. And yeah, we're expecting something in the 45s from Kochi, maybe in the low 46s. This gap is coming down very quickly, and yeah, just down to under less than 15 seconds. Seems quite inevitable right now. DJ, I honestly thought that Holston Knight might have the gap to hold off, but that gap's pretty much been halved in the past quarter of an hour or so, and we've still got half an hour left of this race.
Yeah, exactly. Kochi able to put in a 46 flat there. That's about 2 seconds faster than Hulse and Knight on that last lap. So I have to agree with you. Just a sense of inevitability as we jump back over here. Jotis in a tight little battle here, working their way around. That is Stockman's directly behind him, trying to get down there. A little bit of contact between the Audi and the Porsche.
Opportunistic overtake there from the Belgian driver, but it was not possible for the tuk-tuk patrol machine. And Jotis managing to stay ahead. Now, are those drivers on the same tyres? No, it is in fact Southby on a much fresher tyres. She should be able to make that move as Forsyth is into the pits. Now, will it be close between Forsyth and Kraft? No, I think just looking at where they are on track, I think they should be quite easy for Kraft. So I think he should stay ahead. Forsyth will be battling for P3, I imagine, in this race. Catchpole a long way behind. Catchpole, of course, taking fresh tyres at his last pit stop, so he was quite long stationary. And yeah, Forsyth is going to be stationary for another 10 seconds or so. So Dan Kraft back up into P2 after his incident earlier on. He is a minute off Thomas O'Leary, but O'Leary, of course, with one more pit stop to make.
And this is going to set up a very interesting proposition for Thomas O'Leary, as we have seen the fastest drivers be able to come in and out of the pits quite quickly on a pit stop. If he's able to push this a little bit longer, he may opt not to take tires and hold on to track position. But I think that means that Kraft will just be able to be all over the back of him. So it's a little bit of a 6 one-way, half dozen the other kind of type of problem here. Do you go for track position, or do you go for a fresh set of rubber and try to chase him down? My instinct right now is to go for the latter. We've seen how much improvement new tires can have here at Watkins Glen. I think that's the move, but we'll have to see what O'Leary decides to do.
Yeah, I think most drivers in the P2 field so far have just taken the one set of tyres across their 2 pit stops. And of course, O'Leary did take tyres at his first pit stop earlier. So I imagine he will just keep these current tyres on and hope that's enough. But honestly, I think if he does do that, I think Kraft will be able to catch up by the end of the race. Saying that, O'Leary was 0.6 of a second faster that last time round. Has got less fuel, of course, O'Leary, but you would have thought that the fresher tyres for Kraft, the much fresher tyres, 17-lap fresher tyres for Kraft would overhaul that fuel deficit. But at the moment, O'Leary is holding on strong. As we see one of the battles a little bit further down the order, this is Seb Herberer, another veteran from the SRW, apologies, GT series. Very competitive driver, was the German back in those days, and he's still very competitive now because he's much faster than everyone ahead of him. The 4 drivers ahead of him, he's 3 seconds. Knight is completely gone right now. Look at that, he's just done a 49. He's losing 4 seconds a lap right now to some of his GTD rivals. Undoubtedly, taking tyres was the right decision here. And Knight now 5 seconds off the lead. He seems to be struggling with tyres more than Hulse. But yeah, basically what I'm trying to say is Herbert is catching up to him very quick. So we'll soon be past him, even though they are in different Pro and Am categories. As O'Leary is into the pit, so we're not expecting him to take tyres. We're not expecting him to lose the race lead here. The big question is, how big will his cushion be when he comes out of the pits over Kraft? Because Kraft will have fresher tyres in the remaining stages.
Yeah, exactly, and this is where it is absolute push time for Daniel Kraft, the Pure Sims Esports driver, just trying to see what he can do, working his way through the penultimate corner right now, waiting for O'Leary to get rolling. He is out at pit exit as we speak.
So you can kind of see it for yourself. It's sort of the pit straight, isn't it? The gap. And in terms of time, that is 7 seconds with 25 minutes to go. Okay, I mean, I'm not sure what's going to happen here. I think that should be enough for Kraft to catch up. Remember, it's, well, not necessarily. I was going to say, you know, 7 seconds isn't much compared to the 25 seconds, but obviously they have both taken tyres. O'Leary's tyres aren't ancient, you know. They I think are 17 laps older than Kraft's, but you know, 24 lap tyres compared to 41 lap tyres, it's not horrendous for O'Leary. So I don't know, let us know in the chat who you think's going to win this one. I think it's really going to come down to the last few laps.
Yeah, I certainly think it is as well. And I think right now my gut is telling me this is going to be advantage O'Leary. Those older tires, not ancient, as you said, that he should be able to just hold on. With that said, Kraft looked like he was able to take 2/3 of a second out in that last sector. So this is going to come down to the wire, rest assured.
Yeah, keep an eye on those times on the time tell, or of course open up the live timing in the description below, because yeah, that'll be fascinating to see the time difference. And it's currently saying 58 seconds, but I'm sure once they cross the line, start this next lap, that will all correct itself. O'Leary goes with a 2:10 due to that stationary time. Selfie is back onto the rear of Yotatus as Cooper has just got past Hicks. Hicks, one of the very few pro drivers who did not take tyres earlier on. He is dropping down the order. Will he be able to keep behind Stockmans and Yotatus? In fact, I think Stockmans didn't take tyres. Did Stockman take tyres? He did take tyres, so he might be able to catch by the end. But yeah, basically Hicks dropping down the order. He's not really got any response to the Lamborghini there.
No, he really doesn't, and Stockman's only about, let's call it 4 or 5 seconds behind, so I certainly think Stockman's and Yotatus will be able to catch back up quite easily here.
It's getting close for P2 in the GTD AM. Now it's a second and a half, and usually when we're talking about a second and a half, it's not a big deal, but this gap is coming down quick. And so Knight, I mean, you can see 3 seconds a lap right now. Kochi, and this isn't really a fight, it's inevitable what's going to happen here. In fact, Kochi is going to be in the lead in about 3 laps time. The pace difference is incredible. Remember, Kochi took tyres, Holson Knight did not take tyres. And honestly, I mean, I've been talking about Kochi for a while. Dupin is going to be in the mix as well, I imagine, because he did take tyres as well. Dupin might be able to get a P2 out of this one. This is a really bad decision from Hulse and Knight. And Kochi now got no traffic between him and the P2 driver.
Yeah, no traffic, and he's just got to push himself ahead to the best of his abilities and try to get himself up there. It's going to be a pretty easy pass, and I've got to think the drivers on the slower tires, they're just not even going to be able to position the car around to even put up a defense here at this point.
No, yeah, there's absolutely no point for them to make any attempt whatsoever. And the JD Sim Racing GTD car of Kochi, who I believe finished, he took the first round. I really ought to know that. But certainly it was in the top 2. He certainly deserved the race. Kochi led for most of the event. I think had a setback around the pit stop time, but was able to still come out on top. And that gap, which was at half a minute at one point, remember, to Knight, is, yeah, half a second now, not even that, half a tenth. Oh, as into the wall, that is scraping across the wall there, was Knight. And, well, I think the move was going to be done anyway, but that did not help his momentum one bit. And so, up into second place goes Kochi, and he's just got 4 seconds now to catch up to Bradley Holston lead.
Yeah, only 4 seconds, dipping under 4 seconds now, 3.8. He is going to be on fire here, just waiting for that gap to close. As you said, just a matter of time. You can see him ahead. He doesn't have to push too hard and just let the race come to him.
Just looking at the timing tower there on that last lap, Kraft 0.6 of a second faster than O'Leary. Now, the other lap since they're going to the pits, I think was only 0.2 of a second, so maybe that 0.6 is a bit of an outlier, but if you can keep that up, then this gap will be gone. How many more laps have we got? It's not a particularly long lap, so I think we've got 14 to go, so that's a 90-second lap. So he needs basically half a second a lap, so that 0.6 was a good advantage for him there, but he needs to keep that up in sector 1 of this lap. 0.2 faster for Kraft, sector 2, 1/10 faster for O'Leary, sector 3, 0.2 faster for O'Leary again. So actually that was very strong for O'Leary so far in this lap, and actually Kraft almost undoing that good work from the lap before, does quickly get past that bit of traffic, however, and the gap about to dip below 6 seconds. Can he get past the BMW for the penultimate corner? He sure can, and that will save him a lot of time. Doesn't have to take a particularly acute line, so we see what lap times are going to be posted this time round. O'Leary trying to get to the line right now. He's got a lot of traffic ahead of him. Let's see if he can get past it all without a hitch. Did certainly seem to lose a lot of time in the second half of that lap as he gets across the year 1 machine. He just slithers past and didn't lose too much time, albeit that was super close to contact between those drivers. Kraft was able to take out another 0.8 of a second on that last time, but O'Leary was very quick through that bit of traffic.
Yes, he was doing exactly what he needs to do to be able to keep himself ahead. That is a very, very lucky break there for Thomas O'Leary. He's going to be very, very pleased with that. And that's what he needs to do to be able to hold on in these final 17 minutes, is just clear traffic as quickly as possible. There you see Kraft working his way around. This is going to be a race that is on.
And Kochi has nearly got past Holst. That's kind of the battle that we came across there. It seems like Kochi's being very passive out here right now. He could overtake, or he could try and overtake at least on Holst, but he wants to make absolutely sure of it. He's got so much time, he's got so much more pace. Has the BMW driver right now, the JT Simracing GTD car. And we'll soon be past. Look at that, he's trying to get underneath. Holst understeering out off the white line at least, off the track limits at least, and Kochi just taking his time now. Of course, this it was coming out of the final corner that he was able to take P2 off the car before. In fact, actually into the pits, I think, came Edward Knight. I think Edward Knight has made an extra pit stop out there, but I'm not quite sure. Is he still running? Oh dear. What has happened to Knight? He seems to have had a problem, as we see the change for the lead. Kochi up ahead now of Holst, and it is looking like it's going to be a race win for the Czech driver. Excellent work from him, and he should be able to pull away. But look at Dupin. Dupin is only 2 seconds behind these guys now, and Dupin has caught up Kochi a lot in all this. He's got fresh tyres as well, so maybe this lead battle isn't over yet.
Indeed, and Holst trying to fight back there a little bit through the bus stop, but I'd be looking more at my relatives, not trying to put up a fight, because that's just going to cost me more time to Dupin behind, and he has got to want to hold on to that second as long as possible. But Dupin with fresher tires, that is going to be another tall order for him to do.
So Edward Knight disconnected from the session. It seems like it's a manual disconnect, so maybe, did he have a crash perhaps? I don't know if anything's come up on our event viewer to do with that. Ah, maybe Sam Kumo's found this one. Was this something to do with, here it is. Oh no, so he had damaged at night. Oh, so was that the collision with the wall that we saw, I wonder? It didn't seem too bad when he hit the wall, but maybe it was more damage than it seemed initially. And then, of course, if he's already used his faster pair, you can kind of understand that reaction because, well, if he had already used his faster pair, that was game over.
Yeah, exactly, and he did, I think, use that faster pair already as we chuck back here. This is Ben Hicks trying to get a little bit of a move on. Stockman's just tucking behind in the draft. Ferrari versus Porsche, trying to time that exactly right, getting his way there. Is he going to have enough speed to make it out? He's jerked out to the outside. He's going to try to go for the move, but not there. Looking for an over-under, though, and it's still not there for Ben Hicks. He's going to have to re-rack and try again.
And he's got the older tires, remember, as well, so you can, wow, look at that through the car. So he loses a bunch of time. He loses probably 3 or 4 car lengths just through that one corner, cannot commit to it. And so Hicks dropping further back. He's really struggling with those tyres now, as Selfie will be the next to catch up. He has also got fresh tyres, so Selfie, I think will easily catch up by the end of this race. Hicks driving a bit faster than the likes of Hulse, but yeah, still not particularly quick, as Dupin was able to get past Hulse, unsurprisingly, so it's up into second place. Could Hulse even be caught by Hodgson out there? He did take tyres. Hodgson currently lapping, I think a couple of seconds a lap faster than Hulse, maybe 3 seconds a lap faster, so do keep an eye on that between 3rd and 4th. Big shame for Bradley Hulse. You can see how he's understeering into every corner, almost, really frustrated with that car. And of course, it's going on everywhere at the moment, because in the P2s, we do have to update you as, geez, that car is not turning whatsoever for Hulse, is it? That is horrendous for him. But in the P2s, gap is down to 3.7 seconds now between O'Leary and Kraft. So Kraft at the moment on target to catch by the end of the race.
Indeed, and that speculation that we talked about coming to fruition. Kraft just doing a good job to put in those last lap times. About 13 minutes here to go at Watkins Glen. There is your leader, Thomas O'Leary. There is the chaser, Daniel Kraft. There you can see the gap on your screen, just hovering underneath 4 seconds. Kraft trying to put everything he can into that running.
On this lap, 0.3 faster through sector 1. That is exactly what he needs. We've got another 12 minutes, so that's probably 8 laps or so. So he needs, a half second again. But he is catching on, he is on target, Carter. What he's done the last few laps have been good enough. You can see there 0.9 of a second fast on that lap 54. I do love that time. It's never shown on Formula 1 anymore, but it's like a legitimately great graphic. Kraft only 0.2 faster on that last lap. He lost half a second in sector 5, and that is the type of mistakes you can't afford. So he's basically lost a lap of catching right there as Kraft, and that's all of a sudden, when it was sort of looking 70-30 Kraft, it's made it a bit more 60-40, I think now.
Yeah, indeed it has, and especially around here, yes, the draft is very effective, but with a savvy driver like Thomas O'Leary, he's going to be able to block the track. He's going to be able to fight back. As we said, those tires aren't ancient. There will be some fight left in that number 96 friction racing machine, so it's not like this is going to be a sure thing when Kraft gets up to the back of him. He has got to absolutely hustle it here if he wants to get this move done before time expires.
Should just give you an update as well on the GTD Pro standings. Race gap has actually gone down, so it was 10 seconds. It peaked around the pit stops. It's down to 6 seconds, but Grebstad not doing enough right now to catch up on that last lap. He was a 10th faster. Well, yeah, you can see, little by little, Grebstad catching up. In fact, I think he gained most of that gap during the pit stop sequence. He was 3.5 seconds quicker. Well, he was actually much quicker in the pit stop, 5 seconds quicker in the pit stop or the pit lane So that kind of explains why the gap has gone down by 4 seconds, the fact they gained 5 seconds there. So actually on track, they are very even to one another. Grebstad not doing enough and not really many changes at all. In fact, down the entire field, the only cars within a second of one another are Herber and Beck. That's it. And this is, I think, still competitive. Herber, I don't think is pulling away from Beck. On that last lap, he was a 10th faster, but they were very evenly matched at least. And on this lap, Beck has been able to catch up a little bit. But certainly the most intriguing battle going on is out in lead with the P2s.
Yeah, indeed, very close between them. Beck just doing a good job to come in and hold on there. There is Hulse, Bradley Hulse. Remember, he has fallen down the order. Now, he's only got about 9 seconds back to Hodgson, and with all of that time that we've seen bleeding away from that car, I've got to say, he may not be secure on a podium run here, Sam.
I think he's going to lose out to Valo as well, isn't he? Ooh, contacts behind, and that's the 77 spinning round. And that was Bod Boland as well. That was not a good rejoin board whatsoever. So that was the 77 who made contact of John Barnes. Doing me. Well, he may have got a yellow card earlier on. That could be a red. And once again, I have to reiterate because people don't know this. John Barnes quite an uninterest. Oh, he's into the pits as Hulse. John Barnes an uninteresting football player, but Hulse into the pits now. He hasn't got a puncture, has he? I mean, he could have run those tyres down to 0% potentially and got a puncture. So that's the only reason why I think he'd want to come into the pits because, I mean, pitting now, you're not going to make up the time that it takes to change tyres. He's going to lose 40 seconds taking tyres.
Yeah, I think the only logical thing I can think of is that he is just worried about bringing the car home. That car is so slippy and slidey that he knew he was going to lose out to Hodgson and Valo, and he just decided to come on in and save the car and save points rather than run the risk of losing it completely and sliding off into the wall.
He's come up behind Stringer, 4 seconds behind Stringer, so might be able to. Could he catch that one? Stringer's tyres aren't that bad though. Yeah, actually up to 7 seconds now. So I was thinking, could he get a puncture on though? I don't think I've ever seen it, but he was so slow, using 4 seconds of that. And well, at least we know because I think if everyone took tyres, then I'd be a bit like, what would have happened? That's what would have happened. He's now a minute behind his Hulse, otherwise he would have probably been on the podium out here tonight. It's a huge shame for him. Else in the lead, it's down to 2.5 seconds between O'Leary and Kraft on that last lap. Kraft lost 0.7 of a second, gosh, but on this lap he gains 0.6 of a second. So it's been a bit up and down for Kraft recently. That could well be because of the traffic, not necessarily a mistake from him. But this is coming down to the wire. It's now just over 2 seconds the difference. And once again, Kraft needs half a second a lap to catch up. Can O'Leary get past? He just about shoots past at the bus stop, otherwise that would have been another second or so lost.
Yeah, it would indeed. You can see the tenacity with which O'Leary is just attacking this traffic. He knows the Kraft is coming up behind him, and he has got to get these moves done. The more cars that he can put in between himself and Kraft, the safer he is going to be in these closing 7 or so minutes.
Our last sponsor for tonight's Virtual Racing School. Virtual Racing School with over 50 data packs, and those cover cars on both the oval and the road sides of iRacing. Setups, track guides, data analysis software, and one-on-one coaching, all offered by Virtual Racing School. Particularly that telemetry software is absolutely invaluable, comparing your throttle and brake inputs to a real-life to a pro driver from Virtual Racing School. You can really pinpoint from week to week in the iRacing official series where you are losing and gaining time. So big thanks to Virtual Racing School for supporting us on Apex Racing TV. As another lap into the boats. Now, it doesn't seem like this has been a very good lap here for Kraft. O'Leary with 31.9, and Kraft lost 0.2 of a second. So maybe he suffered a bit from the traffic. Seemed like O'Leary really caught the traffic in some good areas. Now they get into a bit more of an empty space. Yeah, you can see on the track map they haven't got too many cars in front of them. and that might be something that holds course for the rest of the event. So, oh my god, I can't call this one. Let us know on the YouTube chat who you think is going to win, because this could not be closer right now.
Yeah, this is going to be very, very spicy. And now that you see the Craft has been able to get through some clear air, able to gain up a couple of tenths there. Good dive to the inside, going down into the chute. He's just got a dispatch with that Ferrari, gets on by it. This is all going to be down to traffic getting around, because the traffic giveth and the traffic taketh away.
So this is going to be really close now between if we get 3 more laps or 4 more laps, I think, because if we get across the line, yeah, it's going to be 3 more laps, because if we cross the line at 35.30, that would have given us 4.5 minutes to go, and that would have been enough for 4 more laps. But instead, we're going to cross the line at about 35.40, and that will mean that that is not enough time to complete 3 laps before the checkered flag comes out, so it will just be 3 laps. And look at that, I mean, we are literally probably talking 10 seconds away from forcing an extra lap, and that might be decisive, because that's great news for O'Leary. A second loss on that last time round though. Can he get past nice and easy up the S's? He sure can. And Kraft should catch up with about a lap to go. If he continues this pace advantage that he's got, once again, very little traffic, and I think O'Leary needs a little bit of traffic here, because that means that Kraft can't use that pace advantage. Can Kraft get past though into the bus stop? We just missed what was going on there, because I think he may have been held up slightly behind. He was held up, he lost about a second there, did Kraft, being held behind the Porsche, and that could be a crucial part of this race.
It could indeed. That definitely costing him some time, as he's got to try to get past him as quick as possible. Watch here. This is that battle with Herber and Jojotis as they go through into the bus stop. Ooh, that's awfully close between the two.
It's almost come to a stop there, did the Audi. The Porsche of Herber way ahead, and this is for the AM lead, because Vocci's getting held up here, and look at Dupin, he's only a 10th of a second behind. Vocci had this one cleared. He was maintaining that 2-second gap, but now that they're being held up by these other drivers, it is a side-by-side for the GTD AM lead, and look at him go now. Round the outside goes Dupin. I think he's just been a bit too ambitious there. He'll square off the corner, maybe get a good exit. Now there goes the P2. I think there may be a bit of contact there with Vocci. Dupin gets his nose ahead, heading into the heel as it's all kicking off just ahead of them as well. Dupin takes the lead, but he's now held up by the Audi just in front of him, who is not in this lead battle whatsoever. He is a pro. These guys are in the AM, but I think Dupin has got the advantage now. It started to clear the ways ahead of him, and Dupin from absolutely nowhere, we didn't even consider him for the race win earlier on. He has been able to move up into the lead as the Belgian with a couple of laps to go.
Absolutely incredible driving from Anton Dupin. As you said, we did not factor him in at all, but just able to piece his way through the traffic absolutely as he needed to do. And he finds himself in the lead now, tucked up behind some pros, and it looks like behind him, Kochi unable to get around that Audi. That's going to give some nice breathing room here to Anton Dupin.
And Beck's got fresh tyres. I don't know why Beck is driving quite so slow. This is the battle for the lead. We have got just over a lap to go. Kraft has been hugely quick over the last few moments. Kraft was a 10th slow on that last lap, but gained 3/10 sector 1, 2/10 sector 2. He gained 9/10 through sector 3. So that was the big difference, I think, on this lap. And now there is nothing for this race win. Coming down to the last lap here, 100-minute race, and with just a minute and a half to go. It is 4/10 of a second separating the top two, as Kochi has retaken the lead past Dupin. How on earth has that happened? Kochi now leads, and Dupin, I think, making a mistake. We saw him momentarily according to the overlay off the track. Dupin was able to catch up a little bit of time just before that. You can see he's way ahead there is Dupin, but Kochi able to take advantage. I think Dupin got a slowdown and to take the escape route, but now they're alongside again. Kochi is, apologies, this is battling others, as Kraft and O'Leary are alongside at the moment. It's coming right down to the wire. These guys have still got one more lap to go, but in the lead of the P2s, has Kraft been able to take the lead? I think O'Leary still just ahead, 7/10 of a second ahead. I think they were alongside heading into the bus stop. but Kraft was able to hold on, and Dupin was able to get back ahead of Kochi in all of that as well. They've got another lap to go to decide who's going to win in the GTD amateur category, but we've just got a few more corners now for O'Leary to round. He's half a second clear apparently of Kraft at the moment, as Kochi, yeah, just behind Dupin at the moment. Here we go. Any opportunities for Kraft to get past? Just got a couple more corners to go. He could go for a dive perhaps into the final corner. Remember, he's got much fresher tyres. Is the Lamborghini going to play any parts of this at all? It doesn't look like that's going to be the case. Kraft just needed one more lap, but he's still going to try to go for the run to line. Into the draft he goes. Can he make it right at the checker flag? He cannot. O'Leary on the old tyres holds on to a memorable race win and his second race win of the season as well. Reyes wins out in the GTD Pro category, and Dupin is currently ahead of Kochi. They've changed positions a bunch of times in these closing stages, DJ. In an absolutely incredible finale right now, it looks like Dupin, with no traffic around them at last, has got the gap he needs.
Indeed, a gap of about a second here, and Dupin can just breathe a little bit easier. It doesn't look like he's going to have a whole lot of lap traffic in front of him. It's just smooth sailing all the way around here for Dupin. Only 3 more corners to go for the win in the GTD AM.
Yeah, here we go then. And just 2 more corners to go. Hodgson 20 seconds behind. He's not going to be a contender in this one. Dupin rounding the final corner now for Tuk Tuk Patrol. And he is going to hold on for what will be a super satisfying race win. Anton Dupin wins ahead of Kochi and takes his first race win of the season. What an effort there from the 214 car. And there'll be some very happy men on the podium after that race, and a couple of super close finishes in the P2 and the GTD categories. There are the final few judges crossing the line. I don't think I quite did justice, to be honest, to the Dupin-Kochi battle, so I don't think I was following particularly well, to be honest. Trying to keep an eye on that and the O'Leary cross, so it would be great to get basically a replay of those last kind of 3 laps between Dupin and Kochi, maybe once we've gone through the results in a little while, and maybe whilst we're going through the interviews, because that was absolutely insane between those guys. And yeah, there are our race winners, O'Leary, Reyes and Dupin, taking the spoils at round 2 here at Watkins Glen.
An absolutely incredible run to the line once again for these guys after 100 minutes just to be finishing that close. And massive credit here to Thomas O'Leary to be able to hold on to that. We thought for sure that he was going to lose out to Kraft, but just being cool, calm, and collected under pressure, able to hold that out and make it work. A massive feat of driving for your overall winner.
Yeah, half a tenth was the difference in the end between the 2 of them. And Kraft, well, honestly, I want to see a lot of replays. Actually, the last lap between O'Leary and Kraft, I think they went alongside going into the bus stop. I believe that's at least what the timing tower was telling me. So if we get a replay of that as well after we've done the results, because I think that was a particularly hairy moment as well. Half a tenth it was. Catch pole was able to pass Forsyth. We completely ignored that. Apologies, Alistair. He passed Forsyth with the fresher tyres in the closing stages, so well done to Catch Pole for managing to get that P3. Forsyth in 4th, then it was Freitas, Claysons, Roy, Tusting, Gosling, Barnes, Mochek, Shermans, Sembera, Zwimstra, Rutten, Butler, Robb, Ashfield. A few retirements in that, quite a few retirements actually out of those 18 cars in the P2, which nicely fits onto our timing tab. Or results screen, apologies. Christoph Reyes was 9.6 seconds clear in the GTD Pro. This was the slightly duller one, but it was very competitive throughout, and really not a big difference in pace. After 18 minutes to have the top 4 separated by 18 seconds is very small. Gribstad was in 2nd place. There was Hereford, Warner, Cooper, Stockmans, Southey, Hicks, Herbury, Beck, Eustatus, Boland, Kaiser, Wood, Lamont and Hopley. I think and 16th. And then in the GTD Am, of course some of those GTD Ams were ahead of some of the GTD Pros. Dupan 1 second clear of Kochi. Then it was Hodgson, Vallo, Stringer, Holland, Healy, Van Oytven, Holz, Thijs Vandenberg, Edward Knight, who was in the lead for a bit. Remember that? That feels an age ago. Jackson, Misselwhite, and Jones rounding out the 14 cars. So really crazy race. So apparently O'Leary received a post-race penalty. So Kraft will inherit the race win. Gosh, drama during the race, drama after the race. And I wonder if that was due to the incident that they had on the final lap, which we might be seeing right here. So this was the attack here. Former O'Leary trying to go around the outside. And well, I wondered, DJ, if you'd like to talk us through this one.
Yeah, so that's a good move there for Kraft to be able to pull out to the outside. A little bit of a Pruitt fade there for O'Leary, then sticks to his line, comes back to the middle. Let's wait and see this. O'Leary just holding the line. It looks like that wasn't what caused the penalty, as O'Leary held his line perfectly, and I think Kraft just misjudged his braking a little bit and missed out on the bus stop there, trying to carry too much speed into that corner. Yeah,
because with the amount of traffic that you have, I maybe it's something to do with that, perhaps for O'Leary. Yeah, big change there. So yeah, we just got the information that's a 15-second penalty. So, but yeah, that was good to see actually to found that last lap, because I thought, yeah, Kraft got alongside, and he did get alongside, but couldn't make it past around the bus stop section. So we've got lots of drivers asking for interviews right now. We'll try to get through at least a couple of them. We are a little bit short on time at the moment here on Apex Racing TV. But first up, we will have a chat with well, I think we'll have a chat with Christoph Reis, actually, who joins us in the commentary box, because we can 100% confirm that he was the race winner in, dare I say, the more dull field tonight, because it didn't come down to the last lap in the GTD Pros. But Christoph, you must be delighted with that race win against a really high-quality field as well, but you seem to have the pace on all of them.
Woohoo! Yeah, indeed. It was not expected at all, especially after the last race. But I guess, yeah, the Lambo is just really good at this track, and the ballast really helps. So I'm sorry for a bit of a dull race.
No problem. Well, it's on our bad, because I think at some point we said that we forgot that you took part in race 1, if I'm honest. We kind of forgot about it, because it was quite an inconsequential race 1. But yeah, what an increase in pace for race 2, because yeah, I mean, to be ahead of Grevstad and all of them guys was really impressive. Do you think maybe the weight ballast has something to do with it as well? We know some weight was added to the other cars. Do you think that played a part?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's not nothing. 25 kilos, and we only had just a 5, so probably it's a bit harder for them on the tires. But yeah, also I think it's a track more suitable for the Lambo. I mean, the curbs on Road Atlanta didn't really help either. And I just think it's a race where everything came together. We had some setup issues, me and Mathieu, on the last track, and here it was much better. We improved on that, so yeah, it showed.
It was really a surprise to us seeing everyone take tyres tonight, but it was undoubtedly the right decision, because some of the drivers who didn't take tyres really suffered because of it. For the remaining rounds of the championship, do you think it's going to mainly be taking tyres from here on in, because at Road Atlanta it seems to be faster not to take tyres, or do you think we'll be returning back to the not taking tyres for the future rounds?
It's difficult to predict, but I'm excited about it, because I think it will change depending on track, depending on the time as well. I mean, we've seen in Road Atlanta when we went from evening to the dark. Maybe for our races where it's similar, we could see maybe even split strategies.
Well, that's what we really want to see. We always like those dynamics. We certainly saw it in the P2s tonight. Christoph, congratulations once again on the race win. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Thank you. Yeah, of course, my teammate Mathieu Soufi. He really helped me this race. I mean, it was really nice to talk to him during the race, and he was also willing to pit earlier, just to give me a bit of intel on the tire wear. So that was really nice. Thank you, Mathieu. And of course, our sponsor, Verco. It's a Belgian manufacturer of simulators and motion rigs. So yeah, the year is starting off with them really good.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having a chat with us, and yeah, we'll see you back next time. Hopefully you can make it another race win.
Thank you. Thank you as well.
Christoph Reyes there, your race winner tonight, and going to be fairly close to the top of the championship after those couple of results so far this season. DJ, who would you like to have a chat with?
I would love to have a chat with our GT3 AM winner, Anton Dupont, as he was able to drive an incredible run, really and truly up through the field. Really kind of remarkable stuff there from Anton. And Anton, just talk me through those final couple of laps, obviously really putting the moves there and getting yourself forward. What was going through your head?
A lot of stress. I saw everything bunching a bit together, and yeah, I just wanted to go for the moves and try to be aggressive but clean, which almost went well until I had a little contact with Anthony when I lost the car a bit under the brakes. But luckily he got away with it, and then I had to do the work all over again. But yeah, in the end, very happy with the results.
Well, I certainly would be as well. And, you know, obviously this race, we saw all the tires getting taken. Did the thought of running a no tire change strategy ever enter your brain, or was it always from the downbeat that you knew you were going to be taking tires?
No, I was doubting until the moment I was in the pits and I saw my left front was at 32%. So at that point I knew it was the right call to take tires for sure.
Well, it was certainly a good call, and you know, obviously a shortened race schedule, so a win anywhere is really going to help you. Is this maybe a little bit of a harbinger, a little bit of a start of a title run for you, do you think?
I don't know, I hope so. It's 2 times that I come completely from the back of the field, so I hope to have well, first of all, to be in time for qualifying, and then to not forget to put in fuel like I did in Road Atlanta, and then I hope to have a, let's say, an easier race, and yeah, because now I did take some risks with overtakes and stuff. Yeah, I don't know for the championship, we will see.
We'll be watching with bated breath, Anton. Anybody you'd like to thank for this great win here today?
Just my teammate Wem, who, yeah, we discuss strategy and setup together, and we train together, so thank you to him.
Well, thank you very much. That was your GT3 AM winner, Anton Dupont, and I'll throw it back to you, Sam.
Yeah, we've got another interview, and I'm curious. Curiosity gets the better of me all the time. Want to have a chat with Thomas O'Leary. He now joins us in the commentary box. Thomas, thanks for having a chat with us, because I imagine you're not best pleased right now. Really good race win on track. Unfortunately, a 15-second post-race penalty denying you the race win. Do you know what the penalty was for?
I have no idea what it was for, Sam. So I was hoping you guys could tell me. I'd seen it on track, but never mind. I'll have to go through the replay and see what happened. See what happened there.
Apparently, it's for a lap 10 incident with car 22. I don't know if you can think of that off the top of your head.
There was one incident where it was me and Daniel together, and we were going in the middle of 2 GT3s, and there was contact. I don't know if that was it. That was the only bit of contact I can remember. So I mean, it must be that, but that's a bit of a harsh penalty from my perspective, but I need to look at it and see.
I think I'm remembering that one. Yeah, I think you spun at one point, didn't you? That feels like a long time ago, because of the amount of stuff that happened after that. Of course, then we had the issue for Kraft, which kind of got you back into play. He took the early pit stop. How were you? What was the thinking behind the strategy tonight? Because I think at Road Atlanta we saw drivers not taking any tires. Tonight we did see drivers taking tires. Do you think you aced the strategy, or do you think there was anything that maybe could have been eked out of it, just maybe, you know, shortening some stints and going longer on other stints?
I think, yeah, like you said, tires was key today, and I think not pitting on the first stop, or not taking tyres on the first stop was the better option, which we didn't do because of the spin, and I was trying to gain back time, and I knew that my tyres were going to be shot then, so I figured I'll take tyres in the first stop and then do a double on them towards the end. And it worked out, like you saw. I was just ahead of Dan, so it's hard to say whether it was that bad, but I guess it comes to nothing with a penalty, so we could talk for hours about it.
But the last few laps were proper nerve-wracking for yourself, I imagine, particularly final lap alongside heading into the bus stop. What was kind of going through your mind at that moment? Were you able to keep concentrated and calm and cool, or were you shaking a little bit?
Yeah, well, it's Dan was closing the gap slowly, so it wasn't like he caught me very quickly and I was caught unawares. It was very clear he was quicker towards the end, both on pace and on tyre advantage. So I just went up or held the inside, and if Dan wanted to go on the outside, then we could probably make that work. And I saw very early on that he pulled back in the mirror, so I knew I was clear to go ahead.
As we are managing to see the contact actually on screen, our genius director Sam Kumo has just found that instant on lap 10, so you'll probably be able to see it on the YouTube stream at some point, Thomas. But just seeing that one back again. But looking towards the rest of the season, you still get P2 here tonight. That will mean that you're joint lead in the championship, so must be, or at least we're pleased. It looks like we're going to see a good battle between yourself and Daniel.
It looks good. I mean, I was a bit disappointed with qualifying. I thought there was a big gap there, and I think I left a bit on the table, but ultimately Dan was quicker. So I think going into the next few races, it's definitely worth tuning in for, definitely worth watching. I can't wait to see how it pans out.
Yeah, we cannot either. Best of luck for that one, Thomas. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
No shout outs today. Just like to thank you guys for the broadcast. You guys do a wonderful job. I always enjoy sort of watching the broadcast later in the week, so thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next race.
Awesome, thank you very much. We liked you before, Thomas. We like you more now, so you've earned yourself some nice bias for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Best of luck.
Thanks, Sam.
Thomas O'Leary there, your runner-up in the P2 class, but like I said, joint leader in the championship, I believe. And of course, thanks to Sam there for finding that incident up on screen. DJ, who would you like to have a chat with next?
Well, I'd like to go ahead and bring on up here Alistair Catchpole, who had a really kind of a quiet race from our perspective. We had so much action going on around us that we kind of missed that you were able to bump your way up into the podium. So congratulations. But talk me through those final laps, because you were able to get the move done there with just a little bit of time remaining.
Yeah, it was a really tough battle with James at the end there. I was trying to close him down. I knew I needed about a second a lap on the final 10 or 11 laps. Thankfully, he didn't take tyres on the last stop, and I did, and thankfully they held up so I could push and just get him at the end there.
Well, how much was that tire conservation really factoring into your brain in the first opening two stints of the race? Obviously, we saw a variation of strategy, but how much were you having to drive with that in mind?
Probably too much, in all honesty. I really took it quite easy. I let Tom go, and I didn't really fight with him. I just wanted to stay behind him and save some fuel and really look after the tyres. And I thought at the end it really was going to cost me, but thankfully I think third was as good as I was going to get today, so I'm quite happy with that.
Well, and then in 2 weeks' time, we head over to Daytona, another bastion of sort of IMSA racing here. How do you think that's going to go? Obviously, it's going to be a mega draft track.
Oh yeah, I'm really looking forward to Daytona. Every January, every Daytona I try and do now. Yeah, the draft is going to be so key. Once you lose that, it's probably a second just down the drain. So you really got to stay with the car in front and hope for the best, really.
Well, I know we'll be hoping for the best for you and for the rest of the drivers out on track, but anybody you want to thank for this run here today?
I'm not sure who Thomas thanked. Marco, probably. So yeah, I thank him and Tom for his guidance. He's really helping me become a driver, so I'll thank him as well.
Well, thank you, Alistair. That was Alistair Catchpole, your third place driver here in the LMP2 field. Sam?
Yeah, I'll have a chat now with Hakon Grebstad, who was in a very strong P2 tonight. Congratulations, Hakon, another podium for yourself. Not gonna lie, from our perspective, it looked like a bit of a dull race from your driver's seat. But well, how was it? Was it dull, or was there some excitement to it?
Well, the majority of the race was somewhat dull, I suppose. I hung on to Christoph there for a while at the start, but yeah, with the extra 25 kilos added to my car, it was pretty rough to hang on. So once a couple of LMPs got between us and I lost the draft, he was pretty much gone. And yeah, I had a few brown moments, if I could call them that, in the bus stop as well, which cost me a bit of time, but overall, somewhat dull race, I suppose, yeah.
How have you found the new Watkins Glen circuit? Do you think it's an improvement on the old scan?
Well, it looks better, but I think I like the older one better. A bit more dangerous, a bit more cross and stuff.
Yeah, I think I pretty much agree on that one. It does look nicer, but yeah, it is nice to have those proper physical deterrents on the outside of the track. Next up, we've got Daytona. What do you think is going to be the racing like in the GT3 field in that? Do you think it's going to be tricky to break the draft for you guys, or do you think it's going to be kind of more of the same what we've seen in the first 2 rounds?
Well, it is a very draft-heavy track, so I suppose it'll be a lot closer between us, hopefully. I don't know how it's going to shake out with the success ballast and everything after this round, but yeah, it might be interesting. Hopefully the BMW will do a bit better there.
Yeah, do you think? Yeah, do you think the strengths of the BMW will benefit that circuit, or do you think it might be a bit more of a Lambo track, perhaps?
No, I definitely think the BMW will be really strong there. Usually it has the straight line advantage, so yeah, I definitely think that it'll do better there. And I believe Christoph said he had 5 kilos, so we had 20 more, so that might explain why I couldn't keep up.
Yeah, that's yeah, certainly a good shouts on that one. Well, best of luck for Daytona. Hakon, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Well, I gotta thank the guys at Ignium for all the setup help and practice and everything, and special thanks to my fellow Norwegian Øystein Hafjord.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having a chat with us, Hakon, and yeah, best of luck for 1 week's time.
Yeah, thanks. See you then.
Hakon Grebstad there, who's come close to a couple of race wins so far this season. I'm sure it's only a matter of time until he does get on the top step of the podium. DJ, I think we might be able to have a chat with Bradley Holst still.
Have indeed, and Bradley, a bit of an up and down race for you. Obviously, the decision not to take tires kind of coming back to bite you, but how was it in the cockpit?
Yeah, we're a really good race. Well, really good race until I had to do the second stop. Yeah, I had a late run home from work, so got back 2 minutes before the race started. So no practice, no qualifying. I was like, I'll do this race for a bit of fun, starting last. Worked my way through plenty of battles, got up to the lead of the GTM class at one point, and then just tried to push as far as I could. Got to the first pit stop, decided not to take tyres, and I got a meatball flag for it. Took the tyres then, and made the car basically undrivable. So after nearly taking out a couple of LMP2s, I decided, you know what, I'm just going to call it a day before I end up doing something stupid or ruining someone else's race.
All right, that answers the question of why that was. But, I mean, up to that point, you were running a great race, and obviously this new scan of Watkins Glen, it seems to suit you a little bit.
Yeah, I've always seemed to have gone really good with this combo. It's just Watkins Glen, and I just enjoy it. It's a fun track. Find it flows really nicely. There's no real stop-start, so I seem to have always gone relatively well around it, which is good fun.
Indeed, and speaking of good fun, we should be in for some good passing for next time out at Daytona. Is that another one of your favorites, or is that one that's going to be a little trickier for you?
I quite like the track, but I think it's going to be a trick in the BMW. I think the Porsches and the Lamborghinis and Audi, they're going to have the upper leg on us, especially if we have the 25 kilo ballast again. But we'll just see what happens, because you never know.
Well, as my dad used to say, that's why we go racing, to figure out what'll happen. But nevertheless, Bradley, a good run for you here today. Anybody you'd like to thank?
Yeah, thanks to all the guys that you want for helping out, and all the guys helping with the setup and practicing. So, thanks to all the sponsors, 3D Print, Grizzly Sim Engineering, and all the Simracersworld admins for putting it together, and you guys for commentating on it.
Well, thank you very much, Bradley, and I guess we'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
See you later.
I think, DJ, that race has set a very high standard for the other races. Road Atlanta was good, but that was a whole new level. Honestly, I'm very rarely in a multi-class event do you have one close finish, especially in a 100-minute race. I mean, it's a really long time, so for any of the classes to be close is something, but for two of them to come down to the last few corners is quite incredible. That's really going to take some beating, I think, the rest of the season.
Yeah, it really and truly is. I mean, just incredible racing up and down the order, and it makes me kind of upset, Sam, that we've got to wait 2 weeks to get back into this, because it's just such incredible stuff to see all of them out on track like that.
Yeah, it's really a fun series that's turning out to be in such fantastic participation as well. I'm sure round 3 at Daytona will be even more exciting. I mean, well, if we're going to have a run to the line to decide a race win, that's going to be Daytona, because that really long stretch, the NASCAR 3 and 4 to the finish line, will be a really fantastic moment to finish the races. So yeah, that will be really good. That will be in a fortnight's time, of course, as you were saying, DJ. And of course, next week, as the series alternate, we've got the SimUtech TCR Winter Series instead. Round 3 of the championship in that series. IMSA, I believe, is apologies, round 2, because the first one we broadcasted was Media Day. I believe it's IMSA will be the host for next week's event. Of course, that's not the only stuff on Apex Racing TV. We've also got lots of other series. We're just starting back up again tomorrow. Earlier today, in fact, we had the GT3 Pro Trophy. On Thursday, we have got the first round of the Apex Racing League Touring Car Britain. That will be really cool. 40-odd TCR cars out on circuit round British circuits. Knock Hill Reverse, I think, might be round 1, or maybe it's Silverstone. But Knock Hill Reverse is certainly on the calendar at some point. That should be really fun. Then we've also got the return of the Radical Racing Challenge, the official series on Friday. We've got with the Wave Italy Apex Racing League Prototype Championship on Friday. We've got the Apex Racing Academy Formula 3 Virtual Racing School Super Series on Saturday. We've got IGP Fun on Sunday. We've got Spec Racer Ford on Sunday as well. Loads of series starting back up. Always a very busy month is January on Apex Racing 2. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and like this video so you get recommended more of our broadcasts in the future. Also check out our social media pages as well on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. But for now, for myself, Sam Fitzpatrick, from DJ Clark and from Sam Kumo, we are going to say goodbye, and we will see you in 2 weeks' time in Florida at Daytona. See you then.